Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Team JYCT podcast for our 30th episode. Yay!
Yay!
I am your host,
Let's
Celtic
go.
Phoenix. Joining me, as always, is the creative Judgmental Critter,
That's me.
the acerbic young Kaiser,
Oh, going back to that old one. How you doing, guys?
and the wonderful Twilight Guardian.
Hello, I am the only one with a consistent trait that he gives me.
This is true.
Critter always has like 5 different ones that he goes to, and then he switches out to a new one a couple of weeks, and then he like flip-flops between a couple of them with Kaiser. No, I'm the only one that's consistent.
It's because I've been introducing you that way in Bad Fan Fiction Night for the last 2 years. It's just ingrained in my soul at this rate.
Bias.
I am forever wonderful.
At what point have I ever said I wasn't biased?
This YouTuber is lying to you, Chad.
Oh, no.
I'm joking.
So anyway, today we're kind of having a somewhat more relaxed stream. Okay, I should preface this. I expect us to have a more relaxed stream. For all we know, we could watch this video and be enraged, just like the last time I thought we would have a more chill stream.
Because we can never have nice things, Raymond. Okay,
No.
that's just a curse.
We really can't. It's very frustrating. But yeah,
Last week we had a chill stream.
Last week was great.
Oh, right. I mean, but that was like a gaming. I'm talking like when we're actually reacting to a video. We're kind of going into an unknown quantity here.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on just a second.
Great Bar says, "Oh boy, a video on Best Boy to Ruined Boy gonna be a violent debate." I don't know if you're gonna find a violent debate here, much of anything.
Not really.
It is worth noting, general discussions around Ironwood tends to be turbulent, I suppose. But that just seems like because some people just can't, like, from what my experience, half of the people are like, I think Ironwood's development was done poorly. And the other half of the people are like, you're saying you loved Ironwood? And I'm like, no.
You're saying you're okay with dictatorships?
In many ways, it's the exact same conversation that happens with Adam quite a bit.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people are like, man, I really wish Adam was better developed and more well-rounded as a character. And then people will be like, oh, you simp for him. You want him to be the Chadley, abusive bastard because you're an abusive person. Like, what the fuck are you saying?
Like you say you want Adam to be better, and they look at you like, so you're saying that you're okay with Chris Brown. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck?
It's like that meme that's like, if I say I don't like pancakes, someone else is like, oh, so you hate waffles? And it's like, no, bitch, that's a whole new sentence.
That
Yeah, and
happens.
notice how they don't pull this shit with Cinder. Whenever somebody says, "Oh, Cinder could be better,"
Mm-hmm.
But like that happens so often. And like even in our comment section of some of our spicier streams where I've actually responded to some people and they're like putting words in my mouth and I'm like, bitch, I did not say that.
Hey,
Just
word of warning to everyone in the comment section. If you try to call Twilight out, she will scorch earth you. Do not do not I've seen some of her replies and I'm just like, okay, that's pretty brutal.
like, dude, this chick will forget pulling a shotgun out in a knife fight. This chick will pull out a bazooka on you. Okay, just straight up. That's just how it goes. I can't stop. We can't control that. Sorry, not
Twilight.
sorry. Okay.
Twilight is like the distilled version of, and I took that personally.
Yo.
It's like I'm normally not like that. I'm normally pretty chill and really relaxed. But then sometimes the switch just flips, and then I have to hurt someone.
Adam Zelke says, I am ready to hear complaints about Jimmy Steelbark or whatever his joke name was. I thought it was
Is James Steelbark. Thank you, to be exact.
James Steelbark.
We also toss around John Copperstick. That's also another good one that someone in chat came up with.
What about, I'm trying to think of another name for John now. James.
John Copperstick sounds like an actual character from like a Clint Eastwood movie.
It's
like a classic Western.
I was gonna say, like, I thought the most go-to joke about him was, metal cock or whatever, just because like Jimmy Metal Cock or something like that. Just go right for like the innuendo. Via Voxy 97 says, what I would change with Ironwood is I would make him want to save Mantle, but he prioritizes Atlas and would make Ruby, Oscar, and Winter try to help him. I mean, we're gonna get into it. There's any number of things that he could have done and tried.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Many of which that would be much more in character, by the way.
Yeah.
But,
we can get to like Adam, like when you get down to these conversations, it's Adam was underutilized and thus like just weak, like as a result. Like and he lacked any punch and he was made a joke of. Ironwood, on the other hand, was character assassinated. Like that's
definitely.
Really it.
This was a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was a hit unlike anything else. That's why I gave him the name that just
all right. I'm not complaining about getting money, but where were you guys in the last stream? I see. You only come to us for the RWBY content, huh? I get.
Damn.
Yeah, they show up for RWBY. But I was gonna say, I think the thing that I find extremely frustrating about how they handled Ironwood is that they actually, you're right, they did character assassinate him because they went back on something that they established. Because during volumes 2 and 3, yes, Ironwood was portrayed as a villain, but then during the end of volume 3, during the climax, it's revealed that he was a red herring. That you were supposed to think that he was a villain, but actually it was that he's a good guy the whole time. And then they just went, nah, he's actually a villain, and he was gonna be one the whole time after all. It's like,
not justifiably either.
It's really frustrating because like I really did like that misdirect because he really was being built up to be this kind of manipulative kind of shark in sheep's clothing, which doesn't make a lot of sense, I know, but look, land sharks, man, big problem around these parts.
One new twist on the old classic idiom.
But just gotta be careful not to have a candy gram. That's it. That's an old reference. That dates well beyond me. But like the idea that he could descend into villainy, like that actually being the truth of it is that like he wasn't a villain. He's always been a good person, but the potential for villainy was there and that it could have been, he could fall to it. Yeah, that's actually really compelling. It's just they got super lazy with it.
Well,
let
it
him
also
run
doesn't
100%
help
into
that all the other characters are just like if it wasn't, it's all offset by the fact that the other characters are so incredibly shit in terms of their reasoning. We front load this with Ironwood actually being completely reasonable, actually having a plan, doing every single thing that none of the other adult characters have done up to this point. And yet RWBY decides to lie to him, even though the volume prior, her and the group were willing to freaking push towards violence because Ozpin lied. But let's not talk about that, I guess.
Well, like the... Go ahead, Critter.
I was gonna say, I think the thing that really just like doesn't work fundamentally with Ironwood's villainous turn is the thing that they use as like the crux of like him going overboard is such a not black and white concept. The weird trolley problem of float everyone to safety versus try to like float half of them to safety. You know, wait and save whoever we can. Or, you know, yeah, wait and save everyone or try to go and save everyone we can now. And they act like it's so black and white. And, like, but if he had gone with, like, an actually unreasonable, selfish decision in this moment, like, if he was like, screw everybody, let's just rescue the Winter Maiden, then that would be something. Let's just move the relic. That would have
That
worked.
would even be more out of character.
But they didn't do anything like that.
And it's very tragic too, because it's something that I think that they really failed to emphasize, that this could have been easily solved if he just had more support, which RWBY and Juniper or whoever, like all of his friends, his companions, they should have been there to support him, but instead they used their personal biases from Lionheart in order to cloud their judgment of Ironwood, a completely different person, simply because of all of these other things that were going on that they personally just didn't enjoy. But instead of talking to him and, you know, treating him like a human being and an actual person that has reason and empathy, they just decided to keep everything to themselves and wait until things got really bad, and then they deemed him a bad person and then went to fight him, and then everything went to shit.
Yeah.
A bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy that way. Like they're like, oh man, Lionheart was really bad, so we should preemptively be too guarded and keep stuff from Ironwood in case he also ends up being bad. And those like keeping secrets is what led him to be bad.
Yeah. For months, by the way, canonically for months. Like, it would be one thing if they kept this a secret from him for like, I don't know, a week or two. Okay? Whatever. Fuck it. Fine. That we know that they've been in Atlas for at least like 3 months, if that.
Yep.
And they kept this from him for so long, even though he's done nothing but help them out. That is fucked up. But let's get to the super chats real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've been lingering on these, just waiting for JK Network says, sup, been a while. Hope you are all well. As the leader of the Adam Hate Club, me obviously, I think Adam is an amazing character. He is so terribly written that he's made better comic relief than John.
Damn.
That's a deep cut. Says, I think they just retroactively gave him the metal semblance because they thought they got up the pun. I have thoughts on that in just a moment.
Oh, man.
Adam Zelke, how to fix Ironwood. Give him a better weapon. Port already has the big axe gun, but Tin Man needs axe dual pistols that turn into dual tomahawk axes. Maybe. He doesn't get that stupid fucking double gun. That was just disgusting.
Yeah, no.
But the metal semblance,
do that?
The metal semblance pisses me off to no end. It's so frustrating because it completely robs his moment of pushing through the pain during the Watts fight. That badass moment that he pulls through everything that's holding him back just through sheer force of will. No, he has hyperautism. That's their explanation.
Yeah.
Fuck you!
Essentially. Yeah,
what I think is the most annoying thing about metal is all the people like desperately trying to find some sort of headcanon thing where it's like, oh well, if you look, his eyes slightly dilate, that's metal activating, and it's like, no, it's not
characters
real.
do that all the time. But like, here's the thing, right? I don't blame those people though, because look at what they have to work with. Not even the freaking writers agree when metal happens.
Yeah.
Sky Slasher says it's not that Ironwood could have done better. In fact, from a writing standpoint, he should have done worse from the start. Give Team RWBY a more overt reason to distrust him. It's one of the things that like I'm actually really proud of.
Honestly,
in fixing RWBY, is that we actually have already established a precedent of the girls trusting adult figures and then being let down by them. So like in the sequence over volumes 5 and 6, and then retroactively through 4, because I can't remember if they figured it out or not, but Lionheart was partially responsible for kind of dicking them over during 4. But like all throughout that, they trust Lionheart. He betrays them. They trust... They've been trusting Osmond this whole time. They learn he's been hiding a lot of secrets, so he's betrayed them.
Yep.
They trust Cordovan, and then she betrays them. It's just like authority figures keep letting them down. So going into Volume 7, which, by the way, got that announced the other day during the Summer of RWBY. Don't worry, official trailer coming to the channel soon.
I saw it. It's so good.
Will be it's going to be very interesting how we work the dynamic with Ironwood. We're still in very loose writing phases, but there's some really exciting stuff coming. Philip Schwartz says, "You're not salty anymore, Critter? Marnie massacre."
I had a bad stream last Friday.
I saw. I didn't see the actual attempt against Marnie, but did you wipe?
Oh, I did.
Oh, so wait, is your Nuzlocke then officially like? Is it no longer a Nuzlocke, or is it you go
the
back
way
to your
I
box?
do it is if I have Pokemon in my box, I lose my whole team, but I can use the Pokemon in my box, which was one of my saving graces was I kept my awesome Vileplume in the box, so I have that at least. But yeah, I lost my starter. I lost everything I had been training to fight Kabu, because he was the next gym leader, and I was freaking out about the fight with Kabu.
Oh,
I had
God,
3
Kabu
great water types, and they all died. I had a stupid Milcery, which I was so jazzed I caught, because it was supposed to help me against Team Yell, and then it flinched every single time.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I tried to do a Nuzlocke of Sword, and that I think ended right around Marnie. I'm pretty sure that's where I just got a bunch of bad luck around that time.
I've never done a Nuzlocke.
Well, I'm looking into it. I think I found a GBA Pokemon game that's co-op, but I'll have to look like a ROM hack, I should say. So I'm interested in that. I don't know how that works, and I'll have to try and figure it out. But that would be really fun to do a true co-op Pokemon Nuzlocke.
It would be. I would. Yes.
Teddy Bear
The
Paladin.
closest.
Funko Bear. My old cub was lonely. His parents' empty gifts, including me, seemed to bring him little joy. Then one day he took me from the shelf. Not to play, but to a den of many cubs, a school. Oh.
Oh,
I love how we went from the teddy bear's perspective, and now we're on the Funko Bear. Like, it's like this whole arc around the Funko Bear.
we got Deuteronomus right now. That's sweet.
But we got... You tricked us. We got Boruto.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I'm loving Funko Bear, but yeah, like I was saying, I've done a pseudo Nuzlocke where it's not really a Nuzlocke so much as I have OCs that I put into the Pokemon universe, and I have folders of all of the Pokemon that they'll have caught during their travels, and I've done runs where I'm only allowed to catch those Pokemon. So I don't think it's like a true Nuzlocke, but it's something similar.
Has anyone here read the original Nuzlocke comic?
I've seen
No.
parts of
No,
it,
I
not the
haven't.
whole thing. though.
I have
didn't
read
know
the
that it
whole
was a-
thing. Yeah, that was the
Oh,
origin
really?
because the reason why the name came around is that the guy who made it had a Nuzleaf that he kept like whenever the character would talk to his Pokemon, he would like get advice from his Nuzleaf, and he would always draw the Nuzleaf with the face of Locke from Lost. And that's how it got its
Oh,
nickname
wow.
is Nuzlocke.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
The deep lore on that. Viva Voxy
All right.
97. When have folks who will defend the show's writing even say metal's bad, you know you messed up. God, it is such
Yeah.
a shit
100%.
semblance. You're right. It's inconsistent. It's literally just I don't know why they added it other than to say that's his semblance. Like I don't.
I have a theory.
It
It's
serves
that,
no purpose. Oh, go
the,
right
like,
ahead,
big-
Critter.
that big like book was coming out that like lists all the characters as like the names for their weapons and the names for their semblances. And so I bet they just sat down and in order to get ready for this, they just kind of wrote up a bunch of stuff regardless of how much it made sense, and metal was just probably one of them because they had to be like, well, it has to be something that you could potentially see happening in the show because retroactively we're adding this idea onto the script. It wasn't a real thing during the writing process, obviously.
Wait, Critter. Hold on. Wait.
Yeah.
Back it up real quick. Are you saying that RWBY were short-sighted?
It wasn't planned from the beginning.
Yeah, like
Oh,
what?
gosh, what?
Listen, guys, it made Bumblebee.
What is
Bumblebee
this
was
blasphemy?
great, right?
Obviously, every single major plot point, every single minor plot point, down to the second, was planned from the
Yep.
very start. It's not like I more and more I've come up against. I think like the RWBY fandom is really poisoned by this, but a lot of people are really poisoned by the idea that every single writer out there is an architect style writer where they plan everything out 100% from the very beginning, not just like the more gardener type where you throw seeds. You have like these seeds, you have plot points, and you know where they kind of go, so you plant them along a route. But then you just hope they see where they grow in a direction. You prune where you need to.
Sure.
New Deadrex art.
Anime is
Oh,
art, power of
already.
James, the power of Jake, the power of metal. New Deadrex art. Ooh, gotta see the Deadrex art.
Makes it sound more interesting that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, that's going on a thumbnail at some point.
100%.
Yeah.
Just a little
That is
flamethrower sticking
perfect.
out the back.
I love it.
That's
It's good.
That's great. Sky Slasher, my headcanon, Ironwood was just under mind control post Watts, and Team RWBY was too stupid to realize and free him. You know,
Aw.
that's better than 90% of
Yeah,
what
that's
happened in
where
Volume
the Jake Steelbark personality comes from.
I
Wow.
Could
have
have worked, I guess.
It would have been lamer, but like, let's be clear. Like, I like the idea of a more complicated antagonist, but
Sure.
we did not get that. So
Mhm.
between that and a simplistic mind control story, it would have been a cop out, but better.
Yeah.
And you know,
I don't have him all figured out yet, but in Fractured Fairy Tales, I did want Ironwood to be a little bit more like the Proto-Men dystopian version of Dr. Thomas Light.
Oh, sweet.
JK
Yeah.
Network says, I can imagine how overjoyed you guys were when you saw Ironwood get assassinated into a nut job when Hazel got a redemption arc. Ironic because you think Ironwood would be the one exactly.
Oh yeah.
Don't
Dude,
even get,
it's
we had a
so-
whole conversation about botched redemption arcs in the Tundra the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy that like they were willing to redeem and they were really willing to throw James under the bus, but Emerald, who literally caused the biggest terrorist attack known to man. Oh well,
Mhm.
no, she's changed her mind, guys. You know, she's changed her mind. It's all good, buddy. It's all good.
Like
She's
And
a
I find
cute
it-
girl, so we can forgive her.
Yeah.
I was
correction.
about to
Yeah.
say she's black, so we can't do that to her.
Well, I was gonna say, like, if I had a nickel for every single time the cute black lesbian girl gets redeemed after being a horrible, vile person, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's strange that it happened twice.
Who was the second?
Ilya.
Ilya.
Oh, I didn't.
Which,
I didn't
ironically, I
well, I
kind of
guess we
shipped
could
them
do
together. I actually,
course.
I'm not gonna lie about
course.
that. But
Of course.
but no, it's like you like go down even finer, and it's like, oh, there's like an illusory level of their like. Actually, we don't know Ilya's semblance, do we? But she can like camouflage
No.
herself.
They forget to give the Faunus character semblances where they have like an animal trait that could be already something. Because the people making the show are actually very uncreative with their
Mhm.
world.
And a little low-key racist.
Mhm.
Also, number one rival says, "Remember, Hero is a villain song, mainly because it has a chorus. Tumblr said so." Well, Tumblr, suck my nuts. How about that?
Wait, it's a villain song because it has a chorus.
Yeah, people said that. People
What?
actually said that. Yeah, no, it's so.
No, Ilya has the
Do
hospital rights. We've
Do
seen
they
the
know
art
what
man.
a chorus is? Sorry, Raymond.
No, I'm just reacting like, no, Ilya has the hots for Weiss. We've seen the art man. It's like,
Damn it.
How are you all sleeping on Reading Rainbow? Clear the only ship I actually like for Blake.
oh
Wait,
God,
so-
we did pour Ilya dirty in Volume 5 with the whole dynamic with Blake and that moment that she's just like, please do this for me, and Ilya's just like, you're fucking manipulating me. I know you're manipulating me. Or you don't realize you're manipulating me. I realize you're manipulating me. And I'm going to fall for it this time, but no more after this. It's like,
Yes, I was gonna say it's like the Team 4-star meme of, you know what? I know you're playing me, but you're right.
all right, well, we've put this off for a little while now. Let's get into the meat of it and watch the video. Would Ironwood's plan really work? RWBY thoughts. Oh, we have another super chat.
By
well,
Crumbling Cube.
someone wants to know what Reading Rainbow is, Critter.
Oh, it's Ilya x Blake because she does the rainbow thing. So.
Yeah. Philip
Yeah.
Schwartz says, what semblance would you give Ironwood? I think it would have been cool if he turned his skin into iron. Metal, not metal. That's I mean, that was like the go-to, but like I don't really.
I say not give him one.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I don't care too much about semblances ultimately in the long run. Like, it is
Neither does
weird.
the show, honestly.
Yeah, it's like it becomes less and less relevant. It's really just there to facilitate cool fight scenes, and that's it.
Yeah.
Grimlock.
I'd say give him something like I don't know, night vision.
Grimlock.
Something not that important but could be useful in certain scenarios.
RWBY
Oh,
Sharon-
he's a pseudo-faunus.
Yeah, like the way like cameras do it, where everything becomes green.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like his eyes just do that.
But do they make
You know
the
what?
sound?
I'm with Josh.
Do they
Oh
make
my
the sound?
God.
Do they do that?
Honestly, I'm with Josh here. Don't give Ironwood a semblance. Give him a Gundam. I think that would make things 100 times better.
Grimlock 856X or 852X, my bad. RWBY fans act like RWBY is an anti-authority show when their solution to racism is just, why don't you just ask them to be nice to you?
Yeah.
Look, there's a whole conversation about the nature of like authoritative structures, anti-authority, how to properly handle things that are unjust. Like, there's a whole conversation there that RWBY just was never prepared to handle.
Yeah. Also, semblance, Mexico filter. Thank you, Grimlock.
All
Oh
right.
yeah, Red Like Roses has a chorus. Is that evil?
Yes.
Okay, no.
According to Tumblr,
Damn.
yes, apparently.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, 1 minute. May try and adjust the screen just a bit.
Am Zelk says, yes, give Ironwood a Gundam. Show us more high-tech stuff in Atlas. Legit.
Okay, so this video is none of us have watched it, so we don't know what to expect. But by Crumbling Cube, would Ironwood's plan really work? RWBY thoughts. So let's go through this and see if we can simulate some good conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the end of RWBY Volume 7, General Ironwood and Team RWBY are presented with a moral dilemma. Do they evacuate all of Mantle but risk being overwhelmed by Salem's forces? Or do they use the power of the Relic of Creation to raise up Atlas instead of Amity so they can give those already evacuated and themselves a fighting chance.
Okay, I need a refresher. What exactly is going on at the very end of Volume 7 where this choice was being...
Right.
Oh.
So at the
made?
very end,
Because
go
the whale
ahead,
hadn't
Critter,
arrived
if you
yet.
wanna-
The whale
Yeah, it
wasn't
hasn't
in yet.
arrived yet.
Yeah.
Was just a Grimm running throughout the streets, like everywhere?
There
Yeah, it
was
was
Grimm.
Yeah, there was Grimm running throughout the streets. They were still evacuating people into Atlas. And they just gotten the message from Salem saying, pucker up, Buttercup, because I'm coming, all that shit. So,
Yeah.
I have no memory pretty much of like the finer details except for the overall happenings of the plot, because I haven't watched volumes 7 and 8 since Maddo did her big RWBY stream like 2 years ago now.
oh my god.
Yeah. I don't remember what makes the Grimm all start attacking all at once.
Oh. The heat
Okay,
goes off.
so-
the heat going
Yeah,
off.
that the
with
heat
part of
went
it.
off, yeah.
There were
Right,
riots in the street.
right. That's what it was.
Sky Slasher says, I never understood why not both get everyone to Atlas, then turn the show into proper Rangers Lost Galaxy. If you know, you know.
Hey.
Oh.
We still gotta finish that, Raymond.
Yeah, we gotta get back to
Mm-hmm.
Power Rangers. in
Also,
space.
proper Rangers.
Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. I mentioned that
the
I'm out of
British
it.
version.
Yes.
I mean, it's not that far off. There were a couple of New Zealand Rangers. They had a close enough accent. Jose Galagarza. I think James really deserved more. We could have seen a really good redemption arc with him.
Dude, a lot of James love here.
I was gonna say
Come around.
ideally would not have wanted to see a redemption arc for Ironwood. I would have preferred to see like a good man having to go down a difficult road and being resigned to the consequences therein. That's kind of what I was looking for.
I was really hoping for a tragic downfall for him where he tries his best and he does everything possible, but it's still not good enough, and then it really hurts you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue.
The general consensus among the community is that Ironwood's doing a necessary evil and is tactically sound in the moment. However, I'm here to take a closer look at the tactical situation, if the plan would work, its shortcomings, and possible alternatives. Before we proceed, this isn't meant to be a debunked or true style video. These are merely the observations of an armchair general who spent far too much time in Total War and watching a handful of military history YouTubers. Let's go over Ironwood's plan. General, in your own words, if you'd please.
It was Oz's plan in a former life, but he
I'm going to pause it and put up the copyright shield, just in
Ooh.
case.
I didn't expect that.
didn't take it
We
far
should have
enough.
done this when RWBY was still in limbo.
If we harness the power of the
Oh,
staff
that's good.
and raise ourselves high into the atmosphere, the city's artificial climate will keep citizens and food supplies unharmed, always out of reach of whatever Salem may try to send our way.
Okay, just pausing to be sure.
Right.
And also just kind of so we can see it, if we harness the power of the staff and raise ourselves high into the atmosphere, the city's artificial climate will keep citizens and food supplies unharmed.
We can't allow Salem to capture the relics. This is our best chance at getting the staff, the lamp, and the maiden as far away from her as possible.
As a short-term plan, aside from the massive loss of life, this is pretty good given the situation. Grimm have an upper flight limit described by Winter, and it takes the Relic of Creation and anyone on Atlas out of immediate harm's way. This also buys some time for Ironwood and his forces to regroup and figure out their next course of action. I emphasize that this should be a short-term solution because Atlas's prospects at a long-term siege aren't too bright.
Billy Donuts has arrived. Just wanted to let everyone know that.
Hey.
Oh, yeah. I call dibs.
I saw them before the
For our
stream
thought
started.
experiment, we'll need a few assumptions to hold.
Donuts.
The first is that the Grimm's flight limit holds true. There doesn't seem to be anything special that would exempt Salem's pretties from this flight limit, so we'll assume they abide by a 2. As for the whale, it's not known if this would abide by the flight limit too, since it does seem like a new type of Grimm, but for our thought experiment, we'll assume that it behaves like a real-world Zeppelin, so this thing isn't going above the cloud layer, or not too much above it. Second, we assume the airships will be able to fly to an altitude that exceeds that of the Grimm flight limit and can reach Atlas. This is less of a leap since we ourselves in the real world can exceed the flight limit of even the highest flying birds. Third, Ironwood's martial law holds and there are no defections or political uprisings within his own ranks.
Oh yeah.
Bring
You
in the
always want to be
facts.
thorough with this.
Got those numbers.
Right.
Don't. Oh, these are names. I was confused. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is
Is this the fucking like the cipher for the Zodiac killer? What the hell's going on?
No, this is all the characters' names.
I thought it was a crossword, and then I saw Ruby, and then I looked down and I saw Penny, and then Crow, and I was like, oh, I see what he's doing.
Team Comp RWBY Jr. miraculously cooperates.
Ruby Jr. Kern, thank you very much. That is the official. Oh, sorry, I know it's the fixing term, but Ruby Jr. Kern.
This runs counter to what happens in the real show and completely opposite to Team RWBY's moral compass, but it's necessary because Ironwood's plan literally can't work in the show proper because the Winter Maiden herself ran away with Team RWBY. The Winter Maiden, no vault, no relic, and definitely no magical climb to 50,000 feet. So for our purposes, we'll allow the General this one just to give his plan the best possible chance of working. Of course, there will be some alternate history to address now. Because RWBY cooperates, Tyrion is successfully detained and number 1 husbando Clover Ebby gets to live. Cinderfall is successfully repelled before Freya dies and Winter gets to be the Winter Maiden. Because this whole fight scene is unnecessary now, the Aesops and RWBY won't be delayed in dealing with her.
I gotta make sure to pause and we can discuss things as we go because like I'm
sure.
actually really enjoying this video. It's so far.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
pretty good.
see, we found a good one this time.
We
did
Yay!
The downside
Finally!
is we're already a fourth of the way through it and it hasn't been 5 minutes.
we haven't paused every half a sentence to complain about something.
Yeah,
It's so refreshing.
I know. But like one thing I guess to comment on is that I think in terms of not really anything that the video said. I think in terms of like using the staff in order to go away, that makes sense for Ironwood to probably try to do. But my thing is that what if Team RWBY presented the portal plan to Ironwood?
What?
Maybe we agree with it in like volume 8 anyways. But then again, they had like only around an hour's time, so maybe not.
My question more so is, not question, but like my assertion here though is more so, why don't you just say that people willingly go along with this plan? Like that's how I would format this. Is okay, what if everyone had listened to Ironwood and followed through with his plan? So that means Robin no longer stands up and causes the fight that frees Tyrion. So Tyrion is under arrest. Team RWBY doesn't resist, so there's no need for Crow to be arrested. No one does any of that bullcrap. So it's literally everything is in place. It just gives everyone 5 minutes to cool down. That's how I
Wanting
would
to be thorough.
I guess
I can understand wanting to be thorough and explaining the differences with this AU, I guess is what we'll call this scenario. Because so many things I've taken for granted that the average viewer would understand. And then I get like 100 comments of people being like, but what about this? And I'm like, well, I intended it to be this way because I should have explained it better. So I get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair enough. Marvelous Mr. Pokemon.
Someone very recently complained on my Digimon video. It's like, well, you spent like 20 minutes talking about all of these side franchises instead of getting to Digimon. It's like, yeah, because some people are stupid like that, and I wanted to like really hammer it in.
Marvelous
I guess
Mr.
I'm the
Pokemon.
only one who
I
go
was
ahead
gonna
and
read
read the
super
super
chat.
chat. I'll say my thing after
Marvelous Mr. Pokemon says, unrelated to Ironwood, but the more the Atlas arc as a whole, I fully believe the Bellobog arc of Honkai Star Rail is the Atlas arc, but better. I recommend checking it out for yourself to see. I am not going to play a Hoyo game. I look
about to say, do we have any Honkai stands in chat? Because I have no idea what this is.
Yeah, I don't know why, but something about Hoyoverse, it's going to sound weird, and it's not fair because it's so much better in quality. but it reads to me as knockoff RWBY.
All I've seen from it is that none of the characters have like more of a complexion than like a sheet of paper. Everyone's just is like there's no range in skin tones whatsoever.
I think there's something about like it being a gacha series that just I have a reflexive disgust for it. Like that's why I have so much anxiety over the new Madoka game. I don't like gachas. I think they're vile.
Ready for Monica gotcha.
I might actually play it. Like I've played good gacha games, and then I've played bad gacha games, and I've played predatory games, and they're all very different categories, and it's really frustrating that people kind of just broad brush blanket them as like all one thing. It's like, no, there's different ones. Like there's a gacha game that is good. You can still play it very easily, free to play, competitively even. And then there's a bad gacha game where it's like it's still functional and you can still probably play it free to play. But if you wanted to support it in any kind of way to keep it, functional, then it's not very good because it's super, super expensive in comparison to the good gacha game.
Okay.
And then there's the predatory games, which are just like, we're gonna nickel and dime you, and then we're gonna pester you until you
I don't treat Hoyoverse like that, but I think Anais actually starts getting onto it. Hoyoverse has a way of drawing people in that there's something like addictive to it that like I see people it consumes people's personalities.
Isa.
Like,
I had to do
just hard calling
Isa.
him out.
I'd like to report an assassination.
Yeah, Jesus, dog.
Oh, poor. Okay. But just like, oh my god, like I look at it and like there are people that I follow for like their White Rose art years ago, and then I'm like suddenly getting just flooded with like Honkai Star Impact or Genshin Impact or whatever you want to call whatever those games are. It's like I just get flooded with a bunch of their like different ships, and I'm like, I don't know anything about this. Why is it everywhere now?
I saw an ad for what's the new one? Zenless Zone Zero? Something.
Zone Zero, yeah.
3Z, I think they're called for short. Yeah.
I got like barely into the ad, and I had to skip it because the two characters that were on screen were so embarrassingly cringy, like very much like that lol random 2012
wasn't
style.
Is it the commercial that starts with like one of the girls like fixing a car or something like that? She's like under a car fixing it, and they're talking back and forth to each other. Is that?
Yeah, I've seen.
No,
I've seen that trailer. It's
one with like a
dude
dude in a red jacket, and he looks like Discount Gojo, and he's just like flailing around and screaming, and then some girl runs up and starts flailing around screaming at him, and I'm like, I don't want to be here.
Izanagi wants to make a correction.
Yeah, I was about to say it, but then you guys got into a convo, and then he made the super chat. Yeah. I never meant to imply, Isa, that you were into the Hoyoverse. I just meant that you get really into your chosen gacha game, and I had to give you an intervention so that you didn't spend so much money on it just to be competitive.
He did want to clarify. He doesn't play Hoyoverse. He plays Kuro games.
Yes.
Which I think are Fate. Is that? Or I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I think one of them is some sort of Korean game, but
Pining Tree says
either
ZZZ
way.
is cringe, but it's free. Look, I've seen exactly two things from ZZZ that I like. One, cute shark girl maid. I adore her. She is adorable, and I will protect her with my life, even though I know nothing about her. Second, the giant grizzly bear that's apparently really, really cuddly. Those are the two things that I've seen about it, and those are the two things that I'm going to take away as appreciable and probably steal later for my own work, so I can have it in a context that isn't super cringe.
I pre-downloaded Wuthering Waves after I read the synopsis for it, and I thought that it was really interesting. Is that Hoyoverse? Because I haven't played it. I was like, yeah, notify me and automatically download when it comes out. And then I'm like, oh, it came out. I'm just not gonna open this for a bunch of weeks. For whatever reason.
Let's see, what is in Hoyo versus catalog? Honkai 3
Oh, a
Impact,
competitor.
Tears of Themis, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and Zenless Zone Zero. Oh,
Well, there you go.
and okay, there we go. That's just last.
Oh, it's Kuro game. Okay. Thank you, Billy and
okay.
Isa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that Isa's
Wuthering
made a
Waves
clarification
is
with the
Kuro
super chat.
Games, same people as Punishing Grey Raven. Got you, buddy.
Thank you.
Regardless, I see these hyper anime gotcha games, and like, you know what? It's not just the gotcha game element. There's something to it, kind of what I also saw with Code Vein. I don't know if anyone remembers Code Vein. I know you probably do, Kaiser. I don't know.
I was intrigued, but then I never got it, and then it evaporated from my mind entirely.
It's one of those games that like is fine, but like
Right.
it's not the greatest. Like it's a Souls-like, so it's already got like a really high entry bar for a lot of people. It's kind of a difficult game to play to beat. I mean, it's fun, but like it's so it leans so hard into the anime aesthetic that it's kind of hard to take it seriously. Like it feels more like a game that wants to be anime than a game that has an aesthetic that's anime, if that makes any sense.
I mean, you just described RWBY.
Okay, no, actually, I will go to bat for RWBY because I think it's something weirdly different. It's some weird bastard amalgamation of a lot of different things. It's not just anime. It's got a lot of like early Rooster Teeth in there, like the RWBY
It's got a
stuff
lot
going
early
on.
2000s
It's got
stuff.
whatever
there.
the fuck Monty. It's basically just the whims of Monty at the beginning, and that just shaped everything going forward. It's like it's you're not
another
wrong.
reason.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
It's just a weirdly personalized version of it that has like a weird. I don't know.
Another
how to
reason-
It's different.
Another reason why I didn't care about RWBY at first, because it's like I don't understand all these in-jokes, nor do I care about it, because you're making RWBY so insular to Rooster Teeth as a company that it's not really something that appeals to the outside person who hasn't been with Rooster Teeth for the past like 10 years.
Could have been worse. Could have been
Yeah.
X-Ray and Vav. One day I
Ugh.
gotta make my X-Ray and Vav review.
Oh no.
Niklaus McLean says, complete bias opinion, Arc Knights is better RWBY. JK, but no, seriously, Arc Knights has some interesting world-building stories and characters. And you know what?
I've heard of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of Arc Knights.
heard good
I've
things
heard of a
about
lot of
that.
things. I know a lot of people love Blaze Blue Team Bag, the Blaze Blue series. People call it just, oh, that's better RWBY or whatever. Even though it's not. It's actually worse.
Yeah, I played like the story mode of like the first 2 games. They're not that bad.
Are you kidding me? I walk into the first game and it's like a nuclear war wiped out all of Earth, and then there was this storage there was an entire like
Wait, which one?
I don't remember which one. I know people was like, oh, get into this one first. I played it first. In fact, I will look up which one it is. I'll open up my Steam. And I'll tell you which.
Axel,
Did you
I
remember
will-
when this was a James Ironwood video, guys?
I remember. But I'm more interested in this right now.
I did try to bring it back when I mentioned RWBY, but yeah. Also, Axel, I will slightly correct you. I know what FNAF is. I've just never played it, nor do I really care to.
Oh, I love FNAF. You should watch the movie. It's really good.
JK
I'm
Network.
such a scaredy cat. I am so jumpy. Like you don't even understand. I don't even expect myself to jump at things that I jump at.
It is true. I'm pretty sure I literally walked through a door when we were in Vancouver
Yes.
together, and it scared her. And I'm like, I didn't do anything. I just walked into the room.
Yes.
Oh my Lord.
I wasn't even being like particularly quiet. I was just walking. JK Network says, wait, if the staff can separate Penny's soul and put it in a new body, can't it do the same with Salem and put her in a mortal body? Or I don't know, just make immortal killing bazooka and blast. Fuck. Oh yeah, you're not wrong. Actually.
Yeah, like you can't use the staff itself to like kill anyone, but can you construct a weapon from the staff?
Well,
I mean,
I-
Sinner was able to create fire.
There's
from it.
also the
It's
supremacy
weird.
clause. Like, is it maybe that the gods? I mean, we obviously haven't tested it, so we don't know. But like, can the relics change a curse that the gods have bestowed?
I don't.
Ooh.
The staff, I really hate. I hate all the relics we've seen so far because they just are clearly. They clearly come up with their gimmick to solve a specific
fly.
problem for the volume
Yeah.
that they're currently in. But then they don't think about the repercussions of what this kind of power could do in the long run. So then people come up with fine theories like this. That's like, oh, couldn't we just do that? And now you need to watch the writers bend out of shape to be like, oh no, we gotta find an excuse as to why that couldn't work somehow. Which just means there's more layers of rules onto their magic system. Ugh.
Yeah.
Izanagi, he says, I agree with Nicholas. A lot of world element character designs and stories are similar to RWBY. Also, fight me, Raymond. I can explain Blaze Blue lore like the back of my hand. No. You can regurgitate Blaze Blue lore like the back of your hand. Isa, when I first played the Blaze Blue game that I'm talking about, which I'm trying to pull up because Steam is struggling with me right now. When I first played it, I was so confused in a voice chat. We spent an hour in there and you couldn't elaborate to me where the story even fucking started.
Isn't that fun when you pick up a random game and you're like, I'll figure it out.
It doesn't help that the poster child is such an edgelord. He's like Dante. He's like Diet Dante from Devil
Because I
May
know
Cry.
how much of a soft piece of pudding you are, and I know that
Oh my
Raymond
God.
works out.
Oh, sorry. All right, wait, sorry. You guys froze on my end, so I was screaming. I
Oh.
didn't.
did it?
All right, so Critter, you elaborate what you were gonna say.
With what? Which part?
Whatever you just said.
I don't remember. It's gone from my
All right,
mind.
Twilight. What were you just saying about the
I
pudding,
said
whatever?
I made a joke about Isa being soft despite his height, so I wouldn't want you to fight him because you work out and he's the soft pudding.
Oh yeah, no, dude, I'd bench press these. I might only do one press, but I think I could manage it.
As you were talking, I got an ad on YouTube, and it was the same ad I was just fucking complaining about with Zenless Zone Zero.
Sky Slasher, why are Team RWBY actively trying to collect the relics anyway? The world is the furthest it's been to being at peace. Everyone would just die.
Yeah, it's not like Salem is doing anything with the relics themselves in particular. I mean, I guess she could have, if she had gotten the relic of knowledge, she could have found out, okay, where's the fall relic, or where's Vale's relic, basically.
That
'Cause
goes
it was
back.
extra hidden.
That goes back to what I was gonna say a lot earlier. Like, if the point of RWBY is unification of the world, then why is it that there are so many people that they disagree with that they just kill off in one
Pretty
way or
much.
another?
Or
Well, they
just
can't disagree
disrespect
with
the
you
law.
if they're dead.
Yeah, that's true.
Kaiser, to answer your question from earlier, because Steam finally loaded, Calamity Battle.
Oh, that's a bad start. I said you gotta start with you gotta start with continuum shift extend.
This is what people
That's the one.
recommended I start with, and I was just so goddamn lost.
Okay, I'm gonna hook you up with my friend CBF.
Don't.
He has the details.
Don't, like, the problem is I already struggle to get into fighting games. I really don't like
I mean,
them.
fair. I just just bum rushed
Sorry,
the
Calamity
controls
Trigger,
and went
not
for the
Battle.
story anyways. Calamity Trigger is the first one, yeah.
Oh, it is
but,
the first one,
um,
though.
Yeah, but it's not as continuum shift extend makes like a summary of like the first game that is much more digestible. That's the
Okay.
thing.
Well,
OMG, what? You should start at the beginning of a story?
Unbelievable.
I'm
oh,
just giving you what I was recommended, Lay, okay?
The only ambiguity here would be if Neo would get the lamp or not. But, given how her deceptions work perfectly and she has no trouble dispatching Team Orange, I'd say it's not too much of a stretch to say the Ice Cream Bandit succeeds. Ironwood won't be happy about this, but he'll likely continue with raising the city, since denying Salem another relic and the Winter Maiden is now his immediate concern. Now, an addendum.
why is it we fill every RWBY stream with you guys? It's every stream we fill with tangents. We go on tangents. That's the stream. It's a podcast.
Welcome to live streaming, buddy.
This is
Don't know
our
what to tell
job.
you.
Our job is to like, oh, that's an interesting thought. Let's follow that through to the end and hope it's entertaining. That's kind of our job.
Also,
This-
this time, I'm gonna blame the Superchats. They jumped to weird topics.
Yeah. Also, like,
Yeah, don't
it's-
blame us. We're getting paid to do this crap.
this is a glorified conversation with a topic. With conversations, you go off on tangents for a while and then be like, oh yeah, this is what we were originally talking about. Let's go back to that.
Or it gets lost for time immemorial, and you're just like, God damn it, what were we talking about? Only
Yeah.
now we have record proof, and we can go back to the next week. Like, oh, we were talking about this, by the way.
Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
To this, on Ironwood's failures in the show, effective military leadership needs charisma, force of personality, and the ability to play politics at times. There is a limit to military force. Mutinies and desertions are not entirely uncommon in ancient and modern warfare, and knowing how to prevent them is a skill.
Wow. My grandfather's old service revolver. To think
Pausing for copyright.
Sure.
of all the
buries
deserters
a
he shot
treasure.
in the head with this.
Now, back to the siege. There are a few factors why I don't think this is going to work. Surprisingly, a lot of these aren't tactical reasons, they fall back to logistics. This manifests itself in three main things: food, water, and fuel.
Why can't we just use an airship to take these supplies to Amity?
The components for Amity Tower's construction are far too heavy. All that
New
weight would
Generax
require
art.
precious dust we should be saving for the launch itself.
That's their explanation.
It's too heavy.
That's
That is weird.
Apparently.
that is a really lame explanation.
When they have gravity dust? What the
It-
fuck?
It feels like the same flavor of, remember in episode 8 of Star Wars where suddenly there was fuel?
Oh God.
Yeah.
They had never had fuel ever for any of their spaceships, and now suddenly they ran out of gas. It's like, okay, we could have come up with anything else.
Dead or X art.
Yes.
Oh,
That's
great.
Ruby's redemption arc logic. We can fix her. He's too far gone. Also, two as two O's, Derek. Sorry, I had to check you on that.
No, Ruby would say that with only the one O. You can't technically.
You know
see
what?
it
You're
when she's
right. That
speaking.
would be in character.
Yeah.
It's
That would-
all Sargon.
And the Grimm that will come after.
A common argument
what?
is that
Oh,
Atlas
that's right.
does have food production capability, as evidenced in this concept art. But the main
Oh, no. Okay. First conniption. You can't use concept art as your justification. You have to use the evidence from the show. Now, the thing is, it does have food capabilities. We can assume that just because it's. Let's be very clear.
It's a
Atlas
city.
is goddamn gigantic. When you actually look at the
Yeah.
city on top of it, it is the size of like 8 New Yorks. Like, we were
Yes.
talking, it is larger than any one city on planet Earth. I
I was
don't
gonna
know.
say, like, there's a reason why space colonies in freaking, a bunch of sci-fi movies, including Gundam, have their own food sources of food in those colonies. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't they?
We see their farms
Yeah.
in the show.
It's
And
really
when
stupid.
the
but-
whale like parks on top of Atlas and
Oh,
then just
yeah,
barks
that's
up a bunch
right.
of Grimm.
Oh my god, you're
Although,
right. I forgot that part.
I hope he does bring up that's going to create a huge logistical issue because the higher you go, the colder it's going
Yeah.
to get and the less crops are
Mhm.
going to grow. Like that's just why
Wait,
mountain
wait.
tops are
Do vegetables have aura?
Oh my
Shit.
god.
we
Oh
cracked
man,
the
my
code.
carrot has a semblance. The farm should be still within the what's the term they used? Like the man-made atmosphere. Because the whale couldn't park on top of the farm until after the reverse
yeah, after that
waterfall of
shield.
Grimm destroyed the
the
shield.
The force field, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, very quickly, side tangent. Chia, you are right. We did go off on a large tangent about the difference between albinism and lucism on my Digimon stream.
Oh damn. Also,
Problem here
do
will be-
insects have aura? Do insects?
Oh my god.
Dude, imagine if mosquitoes have aura, it's over.
just
fucking
like
Spider.
like
A
imagine
spider crawls into the bedroom and then just shoots lasers out of its eyes at you.
I was gonna say There's you just like we see like zoomed in on like a grasshopper on like a blade of grass somewhere in Vale, and just its leg lifts up and it starts making its noise, and just a flash, and just a nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
Just
Also,
radiating out.
Lily says that animals do have aura. Was that stated anywhere?
It was
Yeah,
shown.
they-
That's how
when-
Zwei functions.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
That's how they do the bullshit Final Fantasy VIII shit with him.
But it's weird because Zwei is literally the only animal ever in the
Yeah,
whole
that
show.
we see have
No.
aura.
They're Amber is riding a horse.
Oh, you're
And
right.
there are birds.
Yes.
That
I
may
didn't
or may not
remember
be
the
Grimm.
horse because I don't like horses. They scare me.
Oh. I used to do horseback riding.
They're too big.
You good thing that you live in the here and now and not like 30,000 years ago when we had big animal.
Well, some big animal. Like if it was like a wolf, I'd be into
Yes.
that.
Well, there were giant wolves, there were giant sloths, there were giant bears, there were giant
I love Critter out here being like giant herbivore. No, too scary, too scary. Giant predator, giant apex predator. Yes, give me that.
Actually,
That's safe
there
and cuddly.
There is a logic to it because herbivore animals are actually a lot more dangerous than carnivorous animals. And that's because they are prey animals most of the time. So they tend to see anything that they don't recognize as safe right off the bat as a potential threat. And also, if you do anything weird, like go out of their direct line of sight, then they will start to get violent with you. So that does make sense. With carnivorous animals, a lot of them do get injured by a lot of other animals, so they are very cautious around other potentially dangerous animals, whether herbivorous or carnivorous. So they tend to be a lot more docile around you, unless if they know for a fact that you are not a threat to them and you are also delicious.
Also, even if a horse likes me, it could still just fucking kick me, and it would be the end. Just because it didn't see me behind its big dumb head and would just go kicking.
Do you remember that old RT animated short with Bernie and his wife, where like his wife went to feed, like they were like taking a tour through a farm, and his wife like fed a horse, and then it just like he was stuck there, and he went back, and she's like, "Let go." Like, and he looked, and it was biting down on her finger. So apparently, Bernie just ran up and punched the horse in the face.
Also,
that's how I got the nickname Horse Puncher in the office.
If you ever get into a situation where you're near a horse, good rule of thumb: touch it. You touch it.
I don't want to do that. Ew.
It's not slimy, but like if you
unless you find those slimy horses.
If you touch it when you're in its line of sight and then walk behind it with your fingers still on it, then it will know where you are, and then it won't be afraid, and then it will not kick you.
It's like the opposite of everything I do with animals. I won't touch you unless you want me to touch you.
Water,
You gotta make
which
the first
farming
move.
requires an immense amount for. Because they're above the cloud layer, there definitely aren't many readily available sources. With that in mind, their food and water will run out. And when it does, morale, which would already be low from the massive civilian casualties, would plummet to unprecedented lows. Now, they could send a few airships to collect water vapor from that altitude, however, that would put them in risk of being attacked by Grimm. And for
I have to push back on this because it seems they have a self-sealing system with the airship with the shield bubble, unless you're presuming they are importing rain or they are opening up the bubble to let rain come through, which seems ineffectual. I think they actually have a self-sustained amount of water internally, which could just be recycled constantly.
Do that? Or is that what those like wires that attach Atlas to the ground are doing? Is that their like?
Well, that's that's just the delivery chutes, as far as
Yeah,
I'm
I thought that
aware.
was just like the packaging system.
Which you're
that
right.
they
It
did.
could be used to deliver water up to them, but I don't think it's being used as a liquid pump. It'd be like sending up canisters of water, but I don't know if they need to do that.
Yeah,
Right.
Leon critiques is right. Water dust exists.
That is
Oh my god! Oh my god, dude!
It totally ripped that off from Thief. They just stole the water crystals from Thief. Just
I
absolute
mean, I guess
shame.
if there's ice dust, then logically there would have to be water, sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have ice and water and fire dust. Does that not create liquid? They just freeze something and then put some fire next to it, and voila, you got water.
What does water dust even do? I mean, we never see it, but presumably what it says on the tin.
Gets things wet, so they become useless.
Yeah.
JK Network, since Ruby go off fan reception, like how they made James more evil so fans would side with Ruby, do you think if James had more love from fans than hate, he would never have been changed to evil? No. People loved Ironwood. Like
They did.
I do not think there was a single person that didn't like Ironwood that wasn't
At the
absolutely
time of
insane.
Volume 7, everybody was praising Ironwood. Like, even people who didn't, who say, you know, who are like mostly pro Ruby and things like that, especially content creators, they loved Ironwood's characterization in Volume 7. The only thing that was a
Up until
little
the
bit
end.
divisive, that was about to say, like, the only thing that was divisive is just like the end part. That is where the contention comes from. But nobody said that they hated Ironwood at that point. And I think maybe you would have an argument if it's framed around the fact that, you know, people were turning against Team RWBY, I guess, because of their hypocrisy throughout the volume, which, you know, fair.
Water dust
But
would be used for
I
super
think-
soakers. Yeah, you're right.
But I don't think there was more of that in comparison to the praise against Ironwood. Like, this goes back to what I always say. Whenever somebody says that you know, oh, it's cool to hate Ruby, or there is more hate towards the show than actual love, they're lying to you. Because let me tell you something. I make a tweet about how Ruby is bad. I can get around like 100 likes on that thing. Somebody posts an AMV of Ruby on Twitter, they get 2,000. You do the math.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
To put it more concisely, because of your supposition that it's so audience based, it's the other way around. It's super Ruby centric. The Ruby girls
is.
cannot be wrong, especially in these later seasons. That's why Volume 9 in many regards was impressive, is that they actually made the girls somewhat wrong in some circumstances. But like, that didn't last. They had to ultimately be correct at the end of the day. And it wasn't
Yes.
like they had to learn from that mistake. Like, oh god, I'm gonna go off on a round Volume 9. I can't do that.
Go on.
Well, it's just more like, you know, it's the juxtaposition from episode 8 to episode 9, where you have, you know, Ruby drinking the tea, and then the beginning of the next episode has the entire team stumbling upon, oh, the genial gems, and they're rebuilding everything, and hugs all around.
Yeah.
No one learned from that. No one
Yeah.
learned a
No.
lesson from Ruby drinking the tea. There was no, man, we should have been there for her, or we should have supported her, or we should have been better friends, or anything like that. No,
Yeah,
they
like,
get there.
mentioned that, but we barely even like touch on it.
And the thing they've touched on more deeply, which isn't even all that deep, was just, what if she's not the same when she comes back? No one was asking,
Yeah.
are we responsible? Could we have done
Yeah.
more?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
You
When
know,
they
the
should have
first
been.
thing people usually do when someone commits to drinking the tea IRL.
Yeah. And like the frustrating thing about it is that it's also with Ruby too, because it's like, yeah, she had genuine reason to be frustrated with herself, and like the thing that she ultimately chose to do wasn't the good thing to do. But then the moral of that was, oh, don't worry about it. We all make mistakes. Honey, sometimes we pick to wear the pink shirt even though that it was a blue shirt day. It's fine.
Niklaus
Right,
McLean
right.
says, to be honest, in theory, Atlas, due to dust, could grow their own food in a dome environment with controlled ecosystem. Yes, and like I think
More
it'd
than
be
likely, yeah.
And this is also just, are they going to be up there forever? I don't think so. I think it's a stopgap measure until they can figure out a different plan.
Also,
I definitely agree with the video saying that this is a short-term solution kind of thing.
But
also,
but
dude,
short
if
term
somebody
can still
points
be
out,
years.
it could. But also, dude, please, somebody do not bring up to me that that plant dust exists, because it's over at that point. It's
does.
fucking over. There's no
It does.
excuse.
There was an entire argument over whether or not air dust or plant dust looked like were green. Like that was flew like was it flew for someone?
You mean earth dust and air dust?
No, air dust and plant dust, because plant dust.
What is even
plant dust is a thing? Are you?
It's so actually a thing. Yes.
It's over,
Is it like? Is it just like a concentration of a bunch of seeds, like squished into a rock, like a diamond?
All I think of with plant dust, when I was still editing Twins' reviews, she mentions plant dust at one point in time, and I just edited a rock and trees just shooting out of the rock, like full trees.
Actually, that is something like in a campaign that I was in, a modern fantasy campaign that was sort of like, exploring cryptids. Also, wow, this is loading really slowly. There we go.
Oh dear.
I got actually a magical stone that wherever you touched it, it grew a tree. And I used that as part of our method of defeating the Tarask. So,
nice.
Basically, Fantasy Godzilla. My entire thing was I drove a motorcycle along its side, dragging the rock along its scales, so it would just get planted into the ground by trees.
That's fantastic. That's so fucking funny. By the way, Derek said Zellrider said that he hated Ironwood from the start and was just waiting for his downfall. Well, Zell's wrong about a lot of things.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when has Zell been correct?
I don't believe him when he says that he hated Ironwood from the start, but even if he did, that's just his personal bias, and then he happened to have gotten correct by coincidence. That doesn't mean that necessarily he was such a good writer that he was able to predict that Ironwood was going to have a bad downfall.
Is this showing up properly on screen? Let me double check.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Okay. I twice covering it, but I can lower her a little bit to make sure.
I'm too tall.
Yeah. John,
there you
kind
go.
of
So everyone can see right there.
Plant dust.
Plant dust.
Is green.
Plant dust is right there on the screen.
Oh my gosh.
And it's also part of this that gets the issue, because if we scroll up, there is the 4 basic forms of dust, and they use the same shade of green for air dust, when air dust over here on this image is wind dust is white.
Because that's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, plant dust exists. It's game over. You can just
it's over. They can stay up there. That's not gonna be a problem.
What does it do? How does it function?
It plants, Twilight. It plants really good.
They went out of their way to be like, no, yeah, this is definitely a thing, but have also refused to like have it in the show. So,
like, what if you put in a plant dust crystal and be like, yeah, I'm gonna grow some potatoes, and then you spring a whole oak tree and you're like, damn.
It's like, I guess I'm eating oaks now.
Like, does it work like JoJo, like the main character of JoJo Part 5 stand ability, where it just like makes what already is there grow more, or does it create plants? Like, but and how can you, if it's the latter, how do you determine what plant it grows?
The worst thing is, plant powers would have been a totally fine semblance instead.
It would.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I have a character whose superpower is both plant manipulation and earthbending.
I was gonna say
somebody else gave me that character's powers, so I can't be blamed for that.
I mean, I was gonna say, like, that's Willow's whole thing in the Owl House. Her whole thing is botany magic. Like, it's really well done too. She's literally one of the most powerful characters in the show.
You know how you talked about how you liked the red herring of Ironwood in Volume 3? Zell viewed it as being evil from the get-go. Of course he would. Of course
Oh yeah,
he would.
number one rival says that the song analysis of Hero I memed about earlier was one of Zell Rider's pieces of evidence that he says supports Ironwood being a bad guy is good writing. I remember seeing that in the comments section of like the video that I responded to him about that, and I'm like, God. Okay. I mean, he is on Tumblr, so I guess that fits, you know.
Yeah. I gave up on Zell the moment that he said that he didn't care about the things that Raymond said, that he was going to believe that Raymond just hated Ruby anyways. So I'm like, okay, so you're just being a disingenuous little shit. Okay,
I
can
gave
just
up on
ignore you
Zell
now.
when we watched his video and he started hip thrusting at the camera. That was that was just
we have been
unforgivable.
scarred by that ever since. Yeah.
Furthermore, it puts
yeah.
another factor into play: ammunition and fuel. According to the world of Remnant, dust acts as both. All known dust mines are on the continent of Solitas, and it seems the majority of industry is located in Mantle. While there feasibly could be dust in these mountains back here, it's not known if they have the equipment on Atlas to meaningfully mine and refine it. Since I have no doubt the Elysian aristocracy would see smokestacks as an eyesore. Elysian conventional and special forces, like the rest of humanity, depend on dust for everything from powering their communications to ammo and transport. This will limit the number of breakout attempts or the time Elysians can defend. Now, there are other potential methods for resupply. Assuming the fleet doesn't get blown out of the skies first, they could very well fly at altitudes that exceed that of the Grimm and go abroad to inform the other kingdoms or even resupply the besieged city if need be. However, it's not known if there will be enough dust production or willingness in other kingdoms to refuel these ships. With the political consequences of the dust embargo and failure at Beacon, it's unlikely the presence of an air fleet would be welcomed by any of the other kingdoms. Ultimately, the Elysians could resort to force to take what they need, but this would be counterproductive and play right into Salem's hands. Denying Atlas the chance to resupply is all Salem would really need to do to kill them. Let the humans starve out and leave the relics up there for a rainy day.
See, the problem is there's just so much we don't know that you are presuming is just not accessible. I would have preferred if you had gone both routes.
Yeah, that would help expand this
like,
a little bit more.
Presume that they have the means to actually produce it, because Atlas was in the crater that they were mining out of, so presumably there would be raw dust in those areas, and they would probably have the material to do it because it was the original settlement. So presumably the old facilities might still exist in some way, shape, or form, or at least.
And also, they have Amity Tower in this scenario. Amity Tower is still a factor here, and they can control that like remotely in some way. I'm pretty sure. So if they can just probably resupply by taking some of the stock from there.
Well, it's also like the major consumptions would be energy and travel. But like the travel would be severely cut down because you wouldn't need people to travel many large, much at all, really.
Right.
You're all stuck on the same flying island. Just walk everywhere.
It was, I don't remember which war it was specifically, but I remember in like high school learning about the guns or butter thing, where, you sacrifice certain lifestyle niceties for the sake of the war, like people sending in their metals to be turned into missiles and whatever, and bullets and stuff. At points like this, I think it would be like, all right, we're gonna keep the heat on, but anything that is an expendable power source that you don't need, like lamps, we're gonna ask you to donate these dust types to the military to help with until we get things figured out. If this is going to be a long-term
that's
solution.
World War II, apparently.
Yeah. That's actually
cool.
I watch a lot of like baking stuff these days, baking and cooking. Dylan Hollis really was the guy that got me into doing baking, and I love his shorts. And a lot of his shorts have to deal with like food rationed ones that are like invented out of the lack of supplies that had during wartime, like in World War I and World War II. And so there's some really fun like both good and bad combinations that he manages to make. It's highly recommend his channel. Highly recommend his shorts. Dylan Hollis, really fun dude.
And he has a book with all of those recipes.
Baking Yesteryear. It's really cool.
Yeah.
WW2 actually made us have the rediscovery of carrot cake. Oh, that's neat.
Oh,
yay!
Oh,
You're immortal and you've got
by the
magic.
way, one last thing. Pete sent me a joke in DMs. He said, "So if a farmer grows their plants using dust, does that make them a crop duster?"
Boo. Tomato, tomato.
I'm not shaming Pete for that one. I'm shaming you, Kaiser, for telling us it.
I had to spread the joy, okay? Jesus.
Magic. You can figure something out eventually, I'm sure. With the other kingdoms. Ultimately, the Elysians could resort to force to take what they need, but this would be counterproductive and play right into Salem's hands. Denying Atlas the chance to resupply is all Salem would really need to do to kill them. Let the humans starve out and leave the relics up there for a rainy day. You're immortal and you've got magic. You can figure something out eventually, I'm sure.
I hate how he's just leaving, oh, she has magic, she can figure something else out. Like, yeah, but we also, like, you're leaving the same vagary. You're not giving that benefit of the doubt to the Atlesians.
Maybe that's gonna be like a follow-up video. Like maybe it's like,
Apparently
let's
he
just
does
focus
have a
on
follow-up.
Ironwood for this one.
Apparently he does have a follow-up. So I'm actually going to open
Oh,
his,
he does.
It's going to open his channel if I can. No, okay, I'll open it later.
Grimm don't need supplies, and losses can seemingly be infinitely replenished from the pools near Salem's lair, so they can sustain a siege indefinitely if need be. Depending on the air fleet situation, she may choose to leave a lieutenant to monitor the siege, while she herself goes on to attack the remaining stronghold of Vacuo. Her Seer Grimm are very capable communication tools and seemingly transmit information in real time.
But as we have learned now, she actually goes on to destroy Vale.
Yeah, which is I'm not over that. I'm not.
When?
I'm not
With
over
zero
that.
latency, which in a post-CCT world is a massive advantage. With this logistical situation in mind, we need to examine what.
Okay, you're ignoring the fact that by getting Atlas up in the air, it becomes the CCT relay. Like, that's part of the point.
Would it?
Yeah.
What, I think
Well,
that
would it though?
it would be what was it? Not the Atlas itself, no, but the freaking Amity Tower.
Well, what I'm saying is, like, basically the plan was to, what I had always thought Ironwood's plan was we're taking what we had the plan for Amity and we're just shifting it over to Atlas. So it's not like they would have to build the new equipment for the new tower, but they could do it. They could construct a new tower to get communication up through the world again.
I thought he was just basically abandoning Amity and just being like, we're on our own, we're gonna get out of here.
I had thought communication was was still on the table, but yeah, I could be wrong.
I mean, either way, there is still a chance that friggin' Ironwood in this scenario would probably be like, okay, we're going to send some people over to Vacuo to notify Theodore about what's going on, and we're going to send our people down there to like put up an offensive against Salem.
This is also ignoring.
Should in character go to Vacuo first. Fuck this Vale shit, by the way.
There's also
Anyway.
ignoring the part that I thought the entire intent was to get Atlas so high up in the air that basically to the point where dust ceased to work. So would airships still be able to reach up to where they go?
It
Theoretically?
depends.
I don't know. There's a lot of vagaries that now I'm realizing we have about this plan.
With the Amity Tower thing, I guess it's kind of irrelevant what I was thinking, because as we found out in the beginning of Volume 8, they just had to hit the on button and it was all ready to go. So I guess it could have floated up with them.
What holding out in such a position is meant to do in the first place. In typical warfare, when a force is besieged, it usually has 3 options on the table.
Oh man, I just have a new super chat. JK Network says, if James was still ruined but RWBY admitted to being hypocrites and learned their lesson unlike in canon, and were actually wrong for lying, would it still be bad but a bandage on it, or just as bad?
Oh, it'd be much better. I mean, it would be better. Because
I don't know like how much better.
The problem would still be that they assassinate Ironwood's character in that scenario, but at the very damn least, yes, the story would actually be holding the main characters responsible.
Yeah, like it would say that this was intentional in order to show that the characters have fucked up. and that
Right.
they're growing because they're realizing their flaws and their mistakes, and that there was intent behind what was going on.
Yeah.
The frustrating thing about Volume 8 and Volume 7 to a lesser degree, but almost to the same degree, is that it doesn't feel like any of these things had full intent for anything at the end of the day. It just feels like they're like, oh, this would be really cool to put in here. Oh, and this would be really cool to put in here. And that would be really cool. And that would have a lot of tension. But there's nothing that any of this is working towards. So it's really hollow and empty.
Oh, more Deaderex art.
Also, new Deaderex art.
Ooh.
It's me reacting to freaking plants.
Middleman fierce plants.
Yeah. Also, and yeah, you're right, Twilight. Going with what you said, like on Ironwood's end, it's
I'll be right back.
a sympathetic straw man. Okay, great. On Ironwood's end, it's a sympathetic straw man situation, and on the hero's end, it's narrative gaslighting.
Yes.
Right. So removing the narrative gaslighting from the equation, yes, it would make that whole thing, it would make things substantially better.
Yeah.
Because at the very least, you can cope yourself in believing that, like, okay, at least Ironwood turning bad had a purpose, and the main characters got something out of it.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, Critter, go ahead.
Sorry. I was gonna say, if RWBY was a show that actually allowed the main characters to acknowledge when they do things wrong or make mistakes, then RWBY could be a really, really good show. But because they're so afraid of having the main four girls be perceived as anything other than the new remnant Jesuses, so many horrible plot points like Ironwood end up popping up just because, as an unfortunate side effect of the purity of pure RWBY, can never be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
RWBY's right, okay? RWBY's always right,
It's a complete
don't ever disagree with RWBY,
It is a complete
Raymond, you're very far away.
Yeah, I was coming.
Come back to us.
It's a complete misunderstanding of what a hero is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, there's kind of two types of heroes. I think we've mentioned this before when we've talked about the difference between DC and Marvel, where DC very much has an aspirational hero, the kind of person
like a paragon hero,
a paragon of something good and just, or some kind of ideal, as opposed to Marvel, which has much more grounded and realistic heroes that you're supposed to relate to. They're both good in different ways, and they have to be handled in different ways. They want RWBY to be aspirational heroes and don't realize that they're actually relative heroes you relate to. And so it kind of mixes the messages, because you're supposed to show that relatable heroes are wrong, while with aspirational heroes, you have to put them in situations and gear them in a way that they are absolutely in the right. Like, it's that sort of like, you've got to be very careful, because if you try to mix those and they are wrong, but you display them as in the right, it sends the wrong message all over the place.
I mean, we see this, like, Exhibit A with RWBY's entire development as a character. I mean, at first, in Volume 1, it seems like they were building her up as you said, a much more relatable hero, because, even though she has these aspirations, she doesn't feel that she is ready or feels that she belongs in this space and everything. But past that point, for a majority of the story, she's relatively a freaking paragon, and everybody just sees her as this incredibly inspiring character when she's done nothing to earn it. And then they try to make her relatable again, and they seesaw around that shit for a while, and then they just circle right on back to her being like, oh, you always just need to be yourself, okay? So it's like, I don't know.
And here's the question that always has bothered me when it comes to Ironwood and his ultimate character ending for his story, is what is the point of that?
Yeah.
Like, you can't just think of it as, well, he has to be evil because otherwise we wouldn't have a villain. Well, that's not true, because we do have Salem and we do have all these other characters. So what is the point of making him like this if not to tell the main characters that they can make mistakes, that they aren't invincible, that they aren't the most special and the most intelligent and the most invincible people. But that has to pay off, or else what is the point of doing this to Ironwood?
Well,
That
the
is-
point is the aesthetic. The point is that they want the they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want all the panache of having
Oh no.
a morally gray conflict, quote unquote. Oh,
Yeah.
am I back?
Well,
Did I cut out again?
you
Am I
cut
back?
out
You're good.
while you were deliberating. That was actually
Yeah,
perfectly
yeah.
timed.
Oh, god damn it. Okay, so
but yeah, like the point still stands is like the question would still be, what is the point of that? Because you can say, oh well, I want to have a morally gray character, but still the question is, why? What for? What is the point? There should be a point for you doing everything in your story.
I think a lot of it
should be
boils-
deliberately for a reason.
I think a lot of it boils down to like at its core, the plot of RWBY is kind of pointless because, like we kind of mentioned earlier, there's no need for Team RWBY to get the relics. Honestly, they're perfectly safe in their vaults in the schools, so they have nothing to really do until the villains roll up and start fighting them. But the villains have to wait for the end of the volume to start fighting them, because if they showed up sooner than that, the conflict would be over really quickly. So instead, Rooster Teeth just like peppers the show with these like ideas, like the morally gray character of Ironwood to like pad the runtime essentially. But they don't really know. Like it all just stems from not knowing what to do in the first place with the show in general.
Because it's just the aesthetic of having a morally gray conflict. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want the appearance of having that in their story and making their characters seem more fleshed out when they don't actually commit to it. That's always been his problem.
Yeah. And that goes into the frustrating thing of they don't know what a main character is, and they don't know what to do with a main character that they aren't really interested in writing when there's all of these other things going on. And this is why a lot of people have characters that the world sort of centers around in a way. That can be bad writing if you do it poorly, because the world just feels like it's built around the main character. But that's not necessarily the only way to do a main character. You can have a passive protagonist that gets pulled into the story through their own actions. So, a good example would be both Toru from Fruits Basket and Harry from Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Harry didn't need to get involved in the plot of the Philosopher's Stone. He stuck his little nose in there all by himself, and that is what made him the protagonist of the story. With Toru, she made the decision to go live in the woods while her grandfather's house was under construction. And that led into the other characters making the decision to have her live in their house. So, like, she is a lot more passive than Harry is, but that doesn't negate that she is the one that made the initial decision that kickstarts the plot.
Don't disagree there.
Yeah. there was such a long pause there. I was like, oh no.
Like, what? That was very
Just a
thorough.
pregnant pause.
Where do we go with that?
Yeah.
Make another example and pad this out more? Nah.
Wait, sally forth, or negotiate. For obvious reasons, negotiation is out of the question. Waiting, which General Ironwood seems intent on doing, is only tenable when reinforcements are on their way. Given how neither Vacuo, Mistral, or Vale have standing armies, it's unlikely that they have much to contribute other than a few daring huntsmen.
Next comes the military. While most kingdoms only call on its citizens to serve when needed, others find...
Pausing for copyright.
Oh my god. Oh, World of Remnants dead. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm not taking
Vacuo
any
seems to be the
chances.
last bastion of capable huntsmen, but I'm unsure if their government could compel all of them to sign up for such a task, since it seems they have trouble enforcing their own laws in peacetime. Also, due to the CCT system being down, any such message would likely take days or even weeks to reach those nations' governments, by which time it may already be too late. There are even problems if a message is instantly sent, like Team RWBY's alluding to.
If we launch the tower, we can all work together again. We could even call for help. If we can hold out long enough.
It would mean days or even weeks of travel for meaningful reinforcements to get there.
Ruby, how long did you think this journey was going to take?
Maybe like 2 weeks?
What?
For these reasons, I don't think a long-term siege would be a good idea, but in the spirit of being solution-oriented, I've come up with a few ideas myself.
Okay, pause there. Sky Slasher says, this goes to show why it was a mistake for RWBY to be the group's sole leader. Why are they listening to the 17-year-old idiot who's only on the team because of where useless magic eyes?
I guess her useless magic eyes.
Oh, yeah, I guess it makes sense.
I guess
There really-
I guess he was trying to say that.
There really is no reason why RWBY has to be the leader. She's the leader because she was the leader when they were in high school. So that means that you should continue being the leader, even though that we now travel around with someone who has a lot more experience and competence in the field, in the real world.
JK Network, were you paid today? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it says, reason why I ask if RWBY go off on fan reception is because if it is true, then why haven't they done more for the money? They brought back Penny because popularity, but kill her off again. But I'm assuming... Are you going to put more down?
Rooster Teeth does seem uniquely bad at, like, leaning into the things that would make them easy money. And you would think, like, something like appeasing fan favorite concepts would be an easy way to do that.
What?
Or even just, like, you know, the things people begged for, like
Where did
good
the fan
merch.
contests go?
Mhm.
They've had, I think, a grand total of 2 fan contests through the entire run of the show. And remember,
Which
so
is
much.
criminal.
Yeah, I was gonna say they had the one for Velvet's costume, which I think ended up poorly. I actually really don't like Velvet's costume, if I'm being honest.
Oh.
But like that was really cool. I remember how fucking hyped the entire fandom was. So many people submitted for it. I remember just seeing page upon page on DeviantArt, just pages upon pages of people making reference sheets for Velvet's outfits, many of which were way better than what we got, but that's besides the point. Including the original version that was blue. I actually like that one better than the brown. But like, and then in between volume 7 and 8, we got the one that ended in a fucking scandal. Like,
damn.
Where was the community outreach? Where was the let's do these kinds of competitions again? We could have had someone brought in to do a contest for one of the Vital finalists. It just has to be a fucking PNG. You don't even need to make a model for it.
Yeah, I remember when the Velvet thing was happening, someone somewhere, maybe it was like a podcast or something, said that they wanted to do another one where you got to design your own character, and the whole fan space was in a tizzy about that. Yeah. But that never ended up happening. And then even just like, you know, remember when the credits at the end of Volume 2 was fan art instead of just concept art? They gave up on that pretty quickly.
Like,
it makes me why. It makes me really happy for the Digimon fandom because contests have been a part of Digimon since the very beginning, and you know what they did with those fan characters? Those fan submissions? They became Anjimon, Kabuterimon, Birdramon, other really popular and really significant figures in the Digimon franchise.
I was gonna say, like, freaking Godzilla did it. They had a design your own monster contest, and that's where you get Jet Jaguar from, who admittedly is just a ripoff of Ultraman. But, you know.
I still can't get over the fact that Kabuterimon was actually a copyright infringement submission because a kid just drew a character from the Mega Man X series and then submitted it.
Oh my god. Oh, was it based off a Gravity Beetle?
Yes. Yes.
Holy shit, I did not know about that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so they had to do like major revisions to the design, but they still accepted it.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yes.
Dude, it's almost as funny as like basically just the thing that put Horikoshi on the track of making My Hero or drawing manga in general was just drawing, I believe it was either, I think it was like a grunt enemy from Mega Man X or something. Oh wait, no, it was Snail. It was like it was a robot master from one of the games that's a snail. I forget which one it was. I think it was from the third game. But yeah, it reminds me of that, and that's really funny.
I've bring it up now. I'm just thinking about the author of Nagatoro, and just like, oh, how did they get their start? Better not talk about that. For those curious, do not look into the past works of the Nagatoro author unless you have a really strong stomach.
Ooh.
Okay.
We're anyway, that was like the tangent of like
Crystal
you know what?
Snail.
No.
Thank you, chat. That's the one.
Each of these presents their own positives and negatives. The first would be to abandon Atlas with all intact forces and civilians and head towards friendly territory. Argus in the north of Anima strikes me as the most immediate option. This is due to proximity and the fact that it seems the Kingdom of Mistral is friendly enough to Atlas. But it's not known if this one base has enough war materiel or concentrated firepower to support an army, especially since they are likely spent from the battle with Grimm Zilla. Vacuo is the other attractive option due to richness in dust and natural resources.
In the center of the vast desert was an oasis unlike anything you'd ever seen. A jungle bursting with natural resources, geographical defenses, and the world's largest recorded deposit of dust.
Of course, running would not give them much reprieve in either case. Salem would likely follow and attack as soon as possible to prevent an organized resistance from forming. Vacuo is relatively decentralized and Argus is relatively small, so the sooner she attacks, the better for her. The second option would not be a mass exodus, but rather an evacuation of Salem's immediate targets, the Winter Maiden. Keeping the key to the relic out of her hands is a surefire way of delaying Salem's victory. She and a select team of huntsmen will seek refuge elsewhere, likely Vacuo or Argus as previously mentioned, but of course this won't go unnoticed, so some level of diversion would be necessary. For example, the Elysian air fleet could make an attack while Winter and Team RWBY slip away in the chaos. The remaining Elysians would have to repel Salem and keep up the facade that the Winter Maiden is still there. This would ultimately buy time for Vacuo to shore up its defenses for humanity's last stand. The largest negative of this is that it would necessitate a further, if not complete, sacrifice of the Elysian people. The third and most...
Alright, so let's run through those two options.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, given how capable the military is and how often weak the Grimm are, I think they have some really good chances, especially if they implore the payload that they were going to use against Salem in Volume 8. Like, if that thing is anywhere near as powerful as freaking Ozpin's Cane Blast, then, like, I think they'll be fine long term.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The
Especially if, like, the Aesops were still sticking around and everything.
Oh, yeah. Like, freaking, what's his name? Clover's Luck Semblance would definitely carry
he keeps
there.
writing off Vale as a potential location. Is this before or after Volume 8 that he's
No,
written
this is only after Volume 8. I'm pretty sure this is before Volume 9.
Okay, I'm trying to like go over like what information the author of this video would have.
Yeah.
Because like we see that Vale is intact. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
you only
yeah, but
get
it
one
was
shot.
kind of questionable-ish, you know?
I don't know.
Like, it
there
already
is still-
fell once.
There's points to this. Is that one, we have a civilian shopkeeper in his shop that seems well intact with a trained huntsman nearby. It's like, all right, strange. So that kind of implies that things are kind of all right now.
And then there's the news reports.
Yeah, there's news reports. I remember Port mentioning something about how Goodwitch has the situation well in hand. So, like,
yeah,
the fact that Patch is still safe that we know of. But the other thing is, Vale's already fallen once. Yeah, hide the maiden there, because why would they think to look in a place that already fell?
Yeah, Salem, why would you already go back to Vale when you don't know where the relic is?
because they realized they wrote those things that implied Vale was doing good, and then realized, oh no, actually we want it to look all ruined and destroyed in the end. So now we have to retcon that.
So I feel like Vale is an unsung opportunity here with either Atlas or for this Hide the Maiden scheme.
Yeah.
Unlikely option would be what Team RWBY is loosely referring to, standing their ground.
Then I think the right thing to do would be to stand our ground.
Me too.
Me too.
Me too.
Okay, die. Bye.
An all-out offensive spearheaded by a surgical strike on Salem herself to cover continued civilian evacuations. An elite combined force with one silver-eyed warrior, the Winter Maiden, and Aesop supported by large firepower could turn the tide.
You mean ships that never do jack shit during the entirety of the finale of either volume?
I was gonna say...
There is a fleet of like 50 ships flying above Atlas at the end of Volume 6. But, God, do they do nothing for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and they have pinpoint accuracy, too, when it comes to which Grimms they are able to shoot. Like, they could have done so much.
They just kind of sit there, don't they?
Yeah.
A large, slow-moving target like the whale should amount to basic target practice for the fleet, or so I would hope.
Again, especially with the nuke.
Yeah!
Salem is indeed unkillable, but as evidenced in the past...
I was gonna say, it's different in Halo because they actually use their ships.
Yeah.
She can still feel pain, or at the very least, discomfort. This could in turn lead to disruption of her control on the Grimm.
How do you know she still feels discomfort? I have assumed at this point she is so old and so weathered that she has basically lost all sensation in her body.
I don't know, she seemed to have kind of a reaction when Hazel bear-hugged, doom-flamed her to death.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
And possibly a better chance at repelling the invasion. While an attack on Salem seems inevitable in the show proper, it cannot be understated how insanely reckless this plan is. To give up some of the world's best and brightest in one attack. But it's got Ruby Rose written all over it. A parallel can be drawn between RWBY and Ajin.
Okay.
You mean a much better show?
I don't like how he worded that. It's like, but it's got Ruby Rose written all over it. Like, is that a positive? Like, I understand that you're just saying that, it's totally in character for RWBY. But
yeah, it
kind of felt like the way he said it very wistfully indicated to me that, like, but she'll pull it off like she has before. It's like, that's not...
I don't get that vibe. I thought he was just saying it in like a matter-of-fact kind of tone. Like, he's just saying, okay, yeah, that's something she would come up with.
Yeah, like, let's make a giant slingshot to launch me into the bird, and then you'll, like, throw me up the side of the cliff, you know? Like, not the not always sound more risky option has kind of been her MO the whole time.
Oh yeah, no, it's just like it's the way he said it, not the fact that he did. That's kind of what I'm more like. I kind of get a vibe he's going somewhere with this, but we'll see.
Human. The immortal Sato works on a similar basis as Salem. He can die, but regenerates quickly after death. He's almost captured by a Japanese special forces team, who cycle kill him repeatedly as a form of crowd control. It's not known if this trick would work for Salem, but hypothetically doing this and throwing her into the Maiden Vault, for example, could be a viable, albeit unlikely plan. Also, we're pulling back to meta-analysis for a moment. RWBY Volume 8 and 9 are confirmed, so this plan isn't likely to happen.
This is before Volume 8. Okay.
That's
so he does not have information
but like
about Vale. That's fair, I suppose.
Oh, okay.
That explains it.
I guess this is before Volume 8 then. So I guess did somebody say he had a follow up to this?
Yeah, I have his channel pulled up so we can look for it.
Okay, fair enough. Because I would definitely like to take a look at that at some point. Because like with what we know about Volume 8, this is definitely a very viable strategy. Like if you nuke her, especially with the whale at the epicenter with her in it, and just find some way to collect the pieces and throw them into a vault, then yeah, that's a done deal right there.
Now, none of these are perfect solutions or solutions likely to work, but it's just a testament to how dire the situation is and how well Salem played it. So there you have it. I think there's a lot more nuance to Ironwood's plan here, and I think some of that's being missed in discussion, so that's why I brought some of these up. I'll definitely be looking forward to how Jimmy deals with the situation at hand when RWBY Volume 8 airs.
No, you
Speaking
won't.
of RWBY Volume 8, this video is brought to you by Salem, our one true queen. Sign up for the Church of Salem today, and I'm definitely not being forced to say this by a Scorpion boy. Did you agree with my thoughts here, or was there something I missed? Feel free to share your thoughts and my thoughts, and your battle plans in the comments below.
Patrick here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification button. Oh, and also check out the links we got below.
1, who the hell are you? You're not the guy that was just talking. 2, why do you have the same Halo background that I do on my PC? No, that's not fair. One of us is going to have to change, and it's not going to be me.
To be
I like
fair,
that
the
video.
main
That was a
the
good
video
video.
itself is good. And to be fair, the main MO of this channel is like, I think about like, what funny skits about RWBY, like what were their inner thoughts about like this conversation that happened in the show or whatever.
What Ironwood really thinks of Jock Schnee featuring some Asian.
Also, very quickly, I found the evidence. I found my receipts.
Oh, about what?
That's
Oh,
Digimon?
about the
Yeah.
about the fans contest for Digimon designs. Gotcha.
Yeah. Look at Kabuterimon.
Yeah. He looks a lot like Gravity Beam.
No, like look at the kid's drawing.
Oh, that so is. Look at that. Look at that Mega Man. Look at that Mega Man looking guy.
Now he got making me pull this all up on screen.
Oh, they took some liberties with oh, what's his name? The Snow Bear. It's not Monsimon.
Yukidaramon or
Yeah.
yeah.
It is really small on the screen. I apologize, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good video. I thought there were a little bit of issues in regards to like looking at the different variables, but I think overall, he does a good job like going down the logic of like, okay, how far would this actually work?
Mm-hmm. I think it did a good job explaining the thought process behind each point they made.
Yes.
Good video. Nice editing. Well done.
All right, so we have revisited what Iron plans really work. We also have why Ironwood really lost, my RWBY thoughts. We have 2 different videos. They're both... So this is a follow-up from like right after, it seems. And then why he lost, which we might also hit up. That one's short, though, so let's cut that.
I guess a lot of questions that I have are very basic for Ironwood and setting up all of the drama and stuff surrounding volumes.
Hey guys. Hey guys, Eric from Chrome and Cube.
There we go. You're saying it's what?
Just like very basic questions of like why things had to turn out the way that they did. And that's like, well, what was the reason given that Ironwood had to do things the way that he did in the show, as opposed to like expend some resources in like whether it be dust or whether it be supplies in order to fix the fix the wall, things like that. Just very basic solutions in order to make it so that further down the line things could go smoother.
Yeah. Like the moment you put a little bit extra thought into so many elements of RWBY, it's like you just can tell how the writers just are not interested in exploring their own world, their own characters, their own story. They just want to put plot points down and move forward. And they don't think about all these extra elements that could work out in ways that would help, like, boost the story. So instead they just become, like, weird plot holes.
Yeah. Because, like, for example, going to Peach Girl, because a lot of the main criticisms of a lot of conflicts in media is, oh, well, the characters don't talk to each other. In Peach Girl, yeah, the characters don't talk to each other, except for sometimes when they do, but when they do talk to each other, it's kind of already too late. And the main reason that characters don't talk to each other to begin with is because there are certain reasons, whether or not they'll be believed, for instance. Because the main thing that kicks off the conflict between Momo and her boyfriend is that Sai is believed to be a very good friend of Momo, whereas they're actually frenemies. So she doesn't want to tell her boyfriend that, no, even though that I'm friends with Sai, I don't want her to know about our relationship, or things like that. So it's just, don't tell her. I'm not going to explain why, because you're not going to believe me anyway. And when she finally does try to explain, he doesn't believe her because of the reasons why she thought that he wouldn't believe her anyway.
Yeah, all this stuff comes down to motivation, really. And if you're telling me that, like, Ironwood's motivation is that he is paranoid, it's so paranoid of Salem that he's willing to do anything to keep her out and make sure that Atlas survives, and that so he can enact his plans to save the world, you cannot then sit here and tell me that he wouldn't just brick and mortar the walls.
It's
like
just,
that just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's just very basic things to explain why a character does or does not do this seemingly very simple task. You can explain away and be like, well, they're in the example of Peach Girl, like, there is a very simple reason for the conflict to have occurred the way that it did. And it doesn't even have to take that much time. It could just be a single sentence. But they didn't even do that much.
You can't waste a single sentence on explaining that. They gotta waste all their sentences on other exposition that we don't really need.
Yeah.
Oh, Periodic Pete for $5. God, dip again to edit the script. I'm so close to finishing, but it was fun going over Jake Steelbark again. Have an offering for my favorite Phoenix.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thanks a lot, Pete. Hope you had a good time.
Have a good time editing.
I am so close to I've got 2 more segments to edit through for my Hero Academia vid. I'm so close to just being into the editing of the actual video itself. So excited for that, because it means I'm almost done.
I started to edit my video again, and I got a whole minute and a half finished yesterday. I'm so proud of myself.
Woo!
Yeah.
There we go.
I have only 40 minutes left. Cry.
On my end, like, I could have gotten even further with my editing today, but I found all the footage that I needed was in a weird MP4 format that doesn't work with my version of Sony Vegas, so I have to go through other means for that.
Dang.
Marco Strange says, do you think RT hated certain characters? I always felt like they went out of their way to write characters to be worse than originally intended, like Ironwood and Adam. Love you guys in your videos. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. I don't know if they hated characters. I think they just hated writing characters. I think that's really.
I mean, they definitely go on record to saying that they begrudge, like, writing Adam. Like, oh, this character is so uncomfortable that we can't really that made it hard to write him. It's like, why the fuck did you?
I think it's worth noting that a lot of the characters they seemed to struggle with were Monty ideas. Monty seemed to have an idea of what to do with Ironwood and what to do with Adam, and then apparently they had no idea what to do with them afterwards.
There is nothing I enjoy more than watching people who feel very strongly about Adam and they argue back and forth whether or not he was supposed to be the mentor for Blake or a romantic interest for Blake. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, guys, we have literally nothing to go on prior to him saying my love at the end of volume 3. Like, we've literally no indication one way or the other than Blake stares at his art, the art that she makes of him wistfully. It's like, that's
Princess carries her once to avoid the giant mech spider in the black trailer.
She
Obviously
she did say, well, more of a mentor, really. She did say those exact words. I do remember that.
True, but there's also the whole evasive language thing that you got going on with her. Like, it could easily be her trying to be like, I'm not going to talk about my feelings involving this.
Yeah, like the
Monty. I was gonna say Monty seemed to be inspired heavily by Final Fantasy, and so I think he wanted like a cool mafia gang plot and like a cool, maybe Shinra-esque plot with Adam and Ironwood, respectively.
If we're bringing this, because you clicked something in my brain. If we're bringing this to Final Fantasy VIII's the place to go for reference with Monty because it's his favorite. And it's so much.
I only know a little bit.
But I was going to say Renoa and Cypher. Those are the two characters because Renoa ends up dating Cypher for a period of time before he turns completely evil. I wonder if that was his intent because like they have not similar color schemes. Blake does with Renoa, like, but the.
Like a lot of characters are clearly just this character, but now it's Monty. Like Yang is just Tifa. Yeah, you know. So I wouldn't be surprised.
If you look up Cypher, you'll see like while colors not at all, there's a lot of similar parallels with kind of the hair, kind of the big trench coat thing going on, or the distinctive coat going on. Like there are things that like clicked with me there just a minute ago. Dragon Ball Z says, it's frustrating for me because Team RWBY has you gotta be better senator energy. If James asked them what their plan was, they'd have no answer for him. It's true.
No, listen, that's why Dedirex made the drawing where it's like RWBY saying, you gotta be better. You gotta be better, Ironwood.
Blade Charge says,
oh my God, I gotta
Ironwood
put down
lost
my wall.
because he was a bad tactician, doesn't know how to deploy troops against his enemy, and failed to evacuate Atlas, didn't fix the hole. Dude, everyone was playing every single card awfully in all of RWBY. I don't know if there's ever been a non-misplay in RWBY.
Yeah. And the easiest thing they could have done is have Ironwood be like, I want to fix the hole in the wall, but the other council members are getting in the way. Like, just make it like a commentary on how, like, the hoops you need to jump through in the political ladder is counterintuitive to getting simple solutions done. And then just have that build. But instead, they made it this whole thing, and it doesn't work.
Would have been really interesting. Like, it just hit me because, like, there's a lot of things talked about, like, how U.S. law and stuff works with, like, the bureaucracy is part of, like, it was built as intended. You're supposed to have the bureaucracy in there. Because the entire idea behind it is, if you have a slow mechanism of politics, it prevents tyranny from taking over because you don't have any one person really in charge. So like the idea would be great is if like in volume 7 you have Ironwood struggling against, I want to get these things done. I need to make, I want to build these walls. Okay, that didn't go the direction I meant it to go. Like, I wanted to say like, I want to fix the hole in this wall.
I want to help Mantle, but the bureaucracy is getting in the way. I want to build the Amity Tower, but they're more focused on opening up Atlas than doing anything else that I want to do, even though that I know that it's really important that we get these two things in particular done. But because I hold 2 seats on the council and they hold 2 seats on the council, we're in a stalemate. And I am just hoping to God that the election will get somebody on the council that is on my side and not theirs.
Right. And then the flip of that is then in volume 8, when he eliminates the council and gets rid of all the dead weight of the bureaucracy, well, wait, now you're suddenly overreaching. Suddenly he's going well beyond. And it's like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have let him get rid of that. Maybe having some of those checks and balances is probably a good thing. So it's like you get like a kind of a reflection of the prior volume in the current volume. It's like you could get a little bit of that tit for tat going on. There's something you could have done there.
Like a consistent theme is happening.
It's just like maybe the consistent theme is just government is just shit no matter how you slice it.
By the way, having a monarchy is basically the same, because a lot of people have the misassumption that being a king just meant that you could do whatever you want. No, you still had council members and people telling the king what to do.
Mhm.
and
And
how
watch
to
a
turn.
single episode of Game of Thrones, and that'll show you.
Yeah, I was gonna say the
Right.
freaking the Magna Carta was the nobles being like, dude, stop fucking with us. We have a lot of power. Like that was what the Magna Carta was for. It was just codifying what was already true.
Yep.
Yeah.
hmm
Okay, so let's hop into this video. So we got to return
Yay.
to form.
Here, I'm glad you guys
I'm
like
gonna
my
say
little
this
analysis on
thumbnail,
Ironwood's plan.
fantastic.
Oh yeah.
What, this?
It's. What do you mean this? Why did you say it like that?
Wait, no, the what I really think of Ironwood's plan revisited. This one?
Yes, with Ironwood pushing Alice somewhere else.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't looking. Okay, I understand now. I wasn't looking at the right thing. I was.
You were
looking...
thinking your own thumbnail.
No, I was thinking of like the first image of the video. I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on? Okay. Oh, I see it. Okay, there. It's actually just down below. All right, makes sense.
Raymond just being
So first,
perpetually
someone who made
confused.
this video so successful
I actually
since it
really
is a
hate
marked
this slide. I think
departure
it's really
from the
ugly.
usual format. The discussion generated in the comments has been incredible, so I thought I'd just follow up and touch on a few of those, and bring up some points I
Sweet.
may have been missed in the initial video. If you haven't already, the first video will be in the pinned comment down below, so do give it a watch if you haven't already. Now, since I'm still trying to navigate my way around the video essay/analysis format, I'd be remiss to
Dead
not
silence
mention that
as
the
we
first
all
video was lacking the essential
try to figure out
thesis
what's going
and
on.
script.
Yep.
For posterity, all stated right now. The purpose of the first
Technical
video was to
difficulties
highlight
here,
how even
never.
in the best case scenario, Ironwood's plans would still have flaws. The alternate history.
I kinda get what that was the first video, but like I kind of thought the first video was just exploring the options, not that they would all. I mean, I guess it's fine. It just,
I guess it could be both. You know.
yeah, it could be
could
both.
just
It
be
didn't
like,
click
yeah.
quite me on that level, but I get where you're coming from. I wish that had been your stated mission goal, or at least your final analysis point. I didn't get that at the very end.
Right.
But actually, he's new to it.
Can be
so
really good when it comes to that.
New to video and scripting, so that's fine.
History whoopsie. There were a few points of contention in regards to the plausibility of the alternate history timeline I laid out, and after some more consideration, I'm agreeing with some of these criticisms. The first one is Eric from Crumbling Cube here. I'm glad you guys.
Who did that?
What?
Huh?
I didn't touch it.
Did anyone touch an arrow?
No.
No.
I did. I'm sorry, it was me.
I was like there was only one person that wasn't immediately confused, and the only person that's just making these breathing noises.
It wasn't playing on my end, so it was just dead
Oh, that's
silence,
weird.
and I was like confused why no one was talking.
Refresh.
BRB.
I was confused at what you were saying. I'm like, what do you mean? We're watching the video.
No, it must have been something entirely my fault. I was just staring at the thumbnail of Ironwood pushing Atlas somewhere else, so that's why I mentioned it. And then it wasn't playing for me, so it must have been sorry.
Oh goodness.
Okay,
I was trying to get caught up on where you all were, and I hit something incorrectly.
Is it
Oh,
playing
dear.
now when I hit this?
And its script. So for posterity, I'll
Is it playing when I did that?
Yes.
Okay, good.
stated right
Yay.
now. The purpose of the first video was to highlight
we'll
regards
skip
to
ahead.
Team RWBY's initial motivation for retrieving the Winter Maiden was to stop Iron. And after some more consideration,
There we
I'm
go.
agreeing with some of these criticisms. The first would be whether or not Cinder would still be repelled. Team RWBY's initial motivation for retrieving the Winter Maiden was to stop Ironwood from accessing the relic.
We have to stop Ironwood. If he can't access the relic, he can't move Atlas. We just have to get to the Winter Maiden.
So they likely wouldn't feel the need to be present if they're already on board with Ironwood's plan. Ironwood also
Pause. The Bananimal. It's a great name.
That is.
Hey gang, I heard that RWBY got picked up by Viz, and I'm happy it's continuing, but should the story continue or should it be reset? I haven't been a fan of the story since after Volume 4, so I'd welcome a reset. What about you? Just finish it off. See it through. I like, you've got 1 or 2 more volumes of content left, potentially. I thought they were always going to go for 12, but like at this point, I don't see how they could last for more than 1 or 2 more. So,
I say finish the story as a manga and then reboot the series. Best of both worlds. And making a comic book for it is a lot cheaper than making a whole last season of an anime.
You could even do a comic dub, officially licensed.
Yeah.
I say, whatever they do, they should have some sort of spin-off thing that can act as the sort of reboot. I would suggest a Team Stark story, but
Yeah,
I
was
would
gonna
rather see
say.
them finish it.
Yeah, like I was gonna say, like Viz would not pick this up if they didn't think that they were going to print some more money out of it. So what I think they're going to do is that they're probably gonna finish the story off some way, somehow, right? Which would be good because at least then fans would be able to have closure and it would be animated, preferably. And then either focus on reboots or they focus on doing spin-off stuff like the Stark thing. People have been clamoring that for ages and ages and ages and ages and ages now.
I would be amazed if Viz is just like, by the way, we've licensed out Fortiche to finish off RWBY. He's like, what? I would be like, oh my god, what is like? It suddenly looks actually gorgeous. Like they've hand painted everything. What the fuck?
We can all agree the worst case scenario is if it's that thing from that episode of Smiling Friends, that one CEO being like, no, that's my IP to sit on and do nothing with.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be really funny, but yeah.
Deemed that Penny was sufficient protection for the procedure, but as we can see in the battle, this is clearly not sufficient. And it's a little baffling as to why they don't call for assistance. There was even this convenient lull in action that Winter could have whipped out her scroll and said, Cinder at Maiden Vault need reinforcements. If no intervention occurred, Cinder would likely overwhelm and kill Winter and Penny. Cinder showed us she was able to keep up with Raven, an intermediate maiden in the Battle of Haven, so it's not unlikely for her to outdo a newly minted maiden who might not fully grasp how the powers work yet. The second point of contention would be whether or not
an intermediate maiden? You mean a veteran or a seasoned maiden?
Nah.
I mean,
Probably just mix up his words.
Yeah,
there.
yeah. It seems like a weird, like, we haven't seen a full-fledged maiden if that's the case, which scares me.
I mean,
like,
we don't
how
even
much
know
they're
what that
powerful.
even means
We
because
don't
in
know either.
the context of
I mean-
Raven.
We kind of have, but she was also senile.
Well, yeah, I guess.
I
But,
loved
like,
her.
Yeah.
even with the context of Raven, for example, like she's like, I'm pretty sure given the timeline that was given in Volume 5, Raven's had the Spring Maiden for at least like a few years. So I call her a seasoned maiden. Really.
Fuck! I just
Is
had
it
a
a few years?
realization. Okay, so Dragon Ball Z sends in the super chat. No Critter, not a Team Strike spinoff. That means Kirby would have to do the writing stuff and probably mess every character up. Okay, first of all,
Oh my
you're
god.
saying that like every single character in Team Strike is somehow a paragon. No, they're all shit to begin with. But secondly,
Yeah.
I just had a realization. Late in the game, Red versus Blue started doing flashbacks during the Freelancer saga. And I was like, oh, RWBY couldn't possibly stretch out for 3 more volumes. They could if the last 3 volumes,
my
half of them
lord.
were flashbacks to Team Strike leading up to fucking Summer's disappearance and the whole story with that.
Isn't it Stark?
Strike,
It's Stark,
I
yeah.
don't give a shit. I don't care. No, I
Strike.
do you confuse me for Seeker? I don't care. I don't want to see Tai Yang banging both of his wives in HD.
Ew.
Not with
Yeah,
that
no.
attitude.
No, not with any attitude. I just don't want to see it.
or not
Also,
Ryo
new
gets the lamp.
Derex art.
Oh, new
Yeah.
Derex.
It's posted in the channel. His true air fleet.
Oh God, anything with that title.
Oh, JK Network for $10. Dude, you got... I hope you're not breaking the bank too much with these. I never saw the point of a reboot. They basically did that with Ice Queendom and look how that turned out. Could easily be the same shit unless they pull a Fate Stay Night and have different routes. I mean,
Well, no, it's not
Yeah.
like Ice Queendom. It's more like, well, what was the recent one? I guess the only one that I can think of right now is
it would be
Fruits
like the
Basket.
Spice and Wolf one.
Yeah,
it would be like the
well,
Spice and Wolf one.
I haven't seen the Spice and Wolf one, but like the 2001 Fruits Basket versus the 2019 Fruits Basket. And like what I think that would happen would if Shugokata got a reboot. I think that would be a lot better because there was a lot of filler.
I was gonna say they could do Trigun.
Yeah, Trigun.
A great example of an anime that has 3D models that doesn't look terrible.
Exactly.
I just gotta say you put a lot of emphasis on the Dom part of Queendom. I'm just pointing that out. Man.
Yeah.
He did. There's a Queen Dom.
Because Elysian military pressure will be on her and not Junior, it'll be less likely that she gets it. As for how to catch Neo, knowing that the enemy is mute would be helpful. A simple verbal challenge would be enough to discern who's who. Now, I don't think Ironwood will be happy when he finds that the lamp still has one more question left on it, but I'm sure he'll be happy to have the help all the same. Even though he likely won't have the maiden anymore. Now, as for what that question should be, the most popular one among the fandom seems to be, how do I defeat Salem? Not destroy, as Ozma put it. The amendment of right now, or right f***ing now, depending on the urgency, may or may not be necessary since genies are f***ing dicks, and they seem to hate Canada for some reason.
Well, I'm off to destroy Canada. They've had it too good for too long.
All right, pack your bags, Twilight.
Oh, dang.
Rip Norm McDonald.
Rip Norm.
Mm-hmm.
He's too good for us.
If you have an alternate question you'd ask Jin, feel free to share down below and explain your reasoning.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a dust pop?
Dust and the inverse square law. So, if you don't know what the inverse square law is, let's have Chuck explain it in layman's terms. Mr. McGill, if you'd please.
The farther away it is, the stronger the source needs to be to have an effect.
Now with that in mind, let's hear what the World of Remnant has to say about dust as it leaves the atmosphere.
Unfortunately, modern man has yet to make the technological advancements required to achieve spaceflight.
Pausing for copyright.
As all known dust types lose their power as they begin to leave Remnant's atmosphere.
Wait.
A lot of you question what.
I have a question. How do you, as someone who has never been to space, know that it's even possible to fly in space?
Because they tried and it didn't work. Is that not the implication here?
No. That's like you're incapable of it because you can't get high enough. So how do you think that it's even possible in the first place?
I don't know what you're, because we had people that wanted to go to space and we invented airplanes and they were like, oh, our airplanes can't go higher. Let's try and build better airplanes.
Yeah, it's just like.
I honestly, normally I see where you're coming from. Here, I don't at all. This is how humanity progressed.
Do you think that there is just more air up in space, or like, do you?
They
think
don't
that it's
know.
like
they
water?
have to get up there.
Yeah, but
I also don't understand.
I'm sorry. I'm just like the logistical question.
They somehow
how do you?
They somehow have understanding of celestial bodies. They've mentioned planets and shit. So, like, at least I think they have. God knows I would have to come through.
I don't know if they ever. I don't think they ever mentioned planets.
They've mentioned constellations, and that's about it. But
they have the moon, the one planet.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say they know that something's up there. They know there is something that can travel up there and does move. So they might be like, how does that work? I guess the moon is the answer.
No. Like, because throughout most of human history, at least for the West, they thought that space was just a curtain that was hung above like water. That space was just water, and that there was like a dome. If you tried to get out into space, you would hit the dome.
Okay, so you know how some space shuttles get launched by being flown up on a plane? Like, you know, like attached to the top, or like I can't remember exactly what they do that for, but like you've seen that, right? Where there's a giant ass plane and the shuttle is on top of it being launched. I'm imagining that now with like an Atlas airship, but you just have a paddle boat on top. Oh my God.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Whether
I'm
Dust would work at
sorry
all,
for
whether Dust
confusing
would
you
work at
all with my dumb question.
all in Ironwood's plan. Now, I would hope that the general will know about the flight limit, hence his wording. Ironwood's exact wording, once again, is high up in the atmosphere. And if the wording of leaving the atmosphere and roll a remnant is true, then I would say it's safe to assume that Dust will still work in Ironwood's plan. However, this may mean it will work at reduced efficiencies, which may make his situation more dire. The Grimm new types. The reason why I didn't speculate on this too much is because of
New
how little is
types?
known about these two new types. But basically,
Oh,
if
wait,
Salem's new
not
Grimm and
Gundam new
herself
types,
can't
my
exceed
bad.
the flight limit, then Ironwood's situation would just deteriorate even faster than in our first video's optimistic timeline.
Okay, but
Yeah, that was another question that I was gonna ask. Where did the Grimm that was capable of surviving in the cold temperatures come from? Did Salem make them, or did they evolve? And if they evolved, how? Because they don't reproduce sexually.
It is one of the things that we have
don't
gone over again and again in RWBY, and it's such a headache because it's just outright they couldn't resist having Grimm in a couple of volumes. They needed the Grimm for their plot line to work, and they completely threw away the world building they established in one of their earliest fucking videos.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is, it could have been such an interesting plot point. It could have been part of the thing that leads to Ironwood finally breaking, is Salem does, like, magic up some ice-resistant Grimm, and so very suddenly, there's Grimm everywhere, and Ironwood's freaking out because of what the heck is happening. But no...
I thought that was literally the whole point at the end of Volume 6, where she's like, I guess I gotta do this myself, and she's morphing around the Grimm and creating new ones.
Deaderex, can you get me the source on that? Because it angers me. He
Wait.
says that Miles said that Grimm evolved like Pokemon for the cold. That
sounds
okay?
like a thing fucking Miles would say.
It's like, okay, there's several things wrong. One, Pokemon evolution is not real world evolution. They're
It's
a radically different
metamorphosis.
thing. It's metamorphosis. And on top of that, that metamorphosis it's not to the environment. It's just like a linear path. Like, I don't know exactly what you're...
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about, Miles? And when did this happen? When did this happen? When did the society that was reliant on the fact that Grimm couldn't
it was
survive...
in Volume 7 commentary.
No.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna be racist for a second, but it's just like a Texan to not know about evolution.
Oh
my god!
I was gonna say, no, it's not. I mean, yeah, it's in Volume 7 commentary. What I'm asking when is like, when in the universe of RWBY did this happen the first time? Because you would think an entire society built up around the fact that Grimm couldn't survive in the cold, we're suddenly having Grimm attacking them in the cold. You would think that would be a radical shift of society.
Nope, like I said, they're just uninterested in exploring their own story. They just change whatever they have to fit whatever lazy first draft
Can you
concept
imagine
they
an
have.
entire short where like you could just have it as like a teaser for Volume 7, an entire short of someone living in Mantle or like in a satellite town, and just like people start going missing, they start disappearing, and suddenly at the very end they discover, oh, there's a Grimm here. There shouldn't be a Grimm here. What the fuck? Holy shit! Send out the alarm, and maybe they die before they can, and so it's like this encroaching dread as you see these Grimm crawling in the darkness.
That'd be amazing.
Oh, well.
I guess they just didn't want to do that.
They did that politician plot line for too long. That was a good use of our time instead.
The next topic is possible water resupply. It's theorized that if a Winter Maiden were to create a large amount of snow or ice, it would be feasible to meet the water demands of the city. Okay, let's say that this would be effortless on the part of our Maiden, as a best case scenario once again. The city of Toronto, a city with a population of 2.7 million, needs 1 billion liters of water a day. That's equivalent to 400 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
Go.
This would be a considerable time investment, and this is assuming that they have the facilities in which this could be a possibility. Further, it may act as a training regimen for our Maiden, which could be beneficial in the long run, assuming it's feasible.
But yet, you didn't acknowledge any other potential of recycling the water that's already present there.
Yeah, like the dust.
Or well, that's a separate issue. like recycling using, energy expenditure, but then there's also dust creation, which is another expenditure of energy. And then I guess you throw the maiden on top of it, which is another expenditure.
If anything, the maiden could probably control the clouds, right? The water vapor in the clouds, or would it?
Once you use water, it is dirty forever. There is absolutely no way to clean it.
This is why things. Oh my god, we cracked it. That's why things become useless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Phalus was right this whole time.
I just love how me explaining a joke from another YouTuber has become our inside joke.
Oh yeah, totally. That's how the evolution of jokes go.
Yeah, true.
Martial law.
The reason why I left this out in the first video was that it would simply take too long. Civil liberties being restricted.
Alright, that's a knock against you. Go longer. You have what arbitrary metric?
Go full long, man, dog.
You're trying to hit that 10-minute mark so you get the 2 ads and that's it. Dude, play the full game. Don't try.
Yeah, never. Okay, yeah, multi-part things never made sense to me, especially in this day and age when there's like, Jenny Nicholson making a 4.5-hour long video talking about a Star Wars land. You can't make your video like 12 minutes longer.
I have to put my Digimon series into a multi-parter because the first part was nearly 4 hours long. And there's gonna be 11 more parts to it probably. So
Jeez Louise.
Yeah. I mean, there is eventually a point where it makes sense to break it up, but I don't think anyone's gonna be busting your balls about a 15 to 20 minute video, man.
Yeah. Long man good.
Long man good.
Well, as a modern example, when Canada's Pierre Elliott Trudeau, yes, father to this Trudeau, instigated martial law because 2 diplomats were kidnapped, troops patrolled the streets and people were detained without due process. When famously asked how far he would take it, he'd respond with, "Oh, just watch me." He faced a lot of scrutiny, and this topic is still debated in history classrooms across the nation. And that was 50-odd years ago. Now, if that sounds...
Or you could have gone to, Fidel Castro, Trudeau's other... No, I'm kidding.
Something tells me maybe the person making this video might be Canadian.
Yeah, I'm suddenly getting that implication.
I'm getting
also. I will just say, Pierre Trudeau was very much liked in Canada. He is still looked at largely very fondly as a good prime minister, despite this act.
Watchface says, "God, RWBY's world building is as structurally sound as Cotton Candy Submarine." Yeah.
That's an insult to cotton candy, Don.
It is.
Oh, another one. Philip Schwartz. No one on Remnant ever tried other fuel sources. All the elements on the periodic table should still exist, right? Or was it all replaced with magic? We actually don't know. The presumption is dust is the periodic table to some degree.
You make the assumption that because matter and metal and other things like plastic and things like that, and people exist. So you would think that the periodic table would exist, but no, the entire world, including its people, are just made up of dust.
Actually, that would be a really fun background detail, as you see a periodic table on one of the school walls, but it's completely different.
Yeah.
That'd actually be really neat.
It would be.
It's only natural that the same would happen in Atlas's situation of crisis, and we saw this unrest bubble up during the events of Volume 7. While Ironwood is making his declaration of martial law to sound like a surefire bet to get the situation under control, forcing everyone to fall into line is much more difficult than it sounds, and will put the military under more strain. Speaking of the military, there may even be units of the Elysian military that feel sympathetic to the Elysian people and refuse orders. Notably, Major General Xu Xinshan of the People's Liberation Army...
Nice ADR there. Major General Xu Xinshan.
Wow. You can said it one time while editing, realized, oh man, I definitely fucked that up, and put in a new one on top to say it properly.
There may even be units of the Elysian military that feel sympathetic to the Elysian people and refuse orders. Notably, Major General Xu Xinshan of the People's Liberation Army refused to mobilize his troops prior to the Tiananmen Square massacre. Even some small units didn't have the will to act against Beijing residents, breaking bread with them in some instances. However, in a more dramatic showing, the 16th and 27th Armies exchanged fire on the outskirts of Beijing. Forcing the situation may ironically bring about the opposite outcome that Ironwood is hoping for. At best, there will be reluctant obedience under the threat of violence, and at worst, there will be splinter factions in the political and military institutions, further weakening Atlas's ability to resist.
Now, granted,
Star plan. Some question what
we're both trying to pause.
Okay, but granted, I will say though that we also have to remember that this is a temporary measure. So likely this is mostly just a design in order to give like Atlas more time to come up with a countermeasure. And I think the countermeasure in this scenario would be simple, which is to send somebody over to Theodore specifically, probably Team RWBY, and like the Maiden, as proof that hey, they know what's up, and we gotta do something about this in order to ready what will happen later in regards to Salem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that they can further coordinate something with the rest of the kingdoms. Like I understand that he said it's, and like especially since they would have amity in this situation. So the global communication would likely be even better in this scenario, definitely be even better in this scenario than it would be in the original show, in the events, that played out there. So that way, everybody would basically be it would be much easier to get everyone in the same page. And Salem would have to do something incredibly drastic in order to counter. And by that point, it'd be pretty much a stalemate from there.
Binding Tree, I'm not doing that. I'm not making a dust-based periodic table to show up possibly in the background of fixing RWBY, if not just for the fun of it. That's not going to be fun for me. That's going to be misery. I already struggle a lot with basic chemistry. I don't need the extra grief. Like, let me stick to my raw physics.
Dude, why we have to make this whole thing when Periodic Pete left? God damn it.
Yeah, put it on Periodic Pete's shoulders. Kai, you get him on it.
Whether or not Atlas can be repurposed into a mobile command center, or as I like to call it, the Patrick Star Plan.
We should take
the city of Atlas
and push it somewhere else.
Now, there doesn't seem to be any visible propulsion mechanisms on Atlas itself, so it's not known if this thing can actually move side to side. Now, of course, it could function similarly to Amity Arena, which is seen to be mobile between all four kingdoms, but I'd argue this is a pretty big assumption, since retreat would be a far superior option in the general's position. And if it were available, I'm sure he would take it. But, for the sake of argument, let's go out on a limb and say this can be accomplished. Even if the issues with water and food are resolved, there is still the question of raw material. Fuel is obviously the hot button topic. Even if they managed to fly over to an area rich in dust, they would still need to dock and set up facilities, which would be, of course, rather vulnerable. This would also apply to the issue of other raw materials and resources. Attrition and losses of equipment would inevitably necessitate repairs. Medical supplies would run out, basic amenities would start to become scarce, and raw material from the surface and the ability to process it is necessary to keep a city running. And once again, I'm not sure if Atlas, which seems to be a residential district, would have that capability.
It's a pretty large residential district, dude. I don't know about that.
Atlas doesn't strike me as a purely residential district. It strikes me as a purely urban district, which is a far cry. We don't really get to see a lot of the ground game in Atlas. It's one of the major complaints about Volume 7 and 8 is that we don't get to see a lot of what the street level is like in that main city.
To be
fair, to be fair, I think that you could kind of see Atlas as kind of like Vancouver, because we do have a very limited amount of space in the Vancouver area, where the majority of it is residential, and there is need for even more houses and stuff like that. And that's kind of crept up into the industrial district, where an entire industrial district became a high-end residential area called Yaletown, and people have been lamenting the loss of the industrial areas in the city, because now a lot of industrialization is pushed to the far outskirts of the city, even farther than the limited amount of farmland that we have in order to feed all of these people. So you could kind of view it from that perspective, but I think that it is a little bit alleviated with Atlas's case because Mantle seems to be where the majority of the industrialization comes from.
Yeah, I can see that, but I don't think that means it's completely absent, and I totally think that they could probably jury rig enough together to survive.
Yeah. I'm just saying that I think that, like, while it's not absent in Atlas, the need to have industrialization in Atlas is a little bit alleviated by the fact that Mantle is a thing.
Gotcha.
Like, the majority of it is in Mantle. There is a little bit of it in Atlas.
Creation has become an integral part of many fan theories and has been viewed to be a miraculous item that can literally create anything. Specifically, it has been seen as a way of reviving characters, which, funnily enough, was a joke by Ruby Rose's voice actress, Lindsay Jones. However,
who should never be taken seriously about anything canon ever. She forgot Ruby's favorite food.
None of the voice actors should be taken.
Yeah,
like, they say things so often, and it's always like, oh, well, Aaron said this, so it's canon. It's like, no, that's not how that works.
Aaron is not a writer. Aaron doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about.
Even if it weren't a joke, the latter angle doesn't hold much water to me. The God of Light specifically point to Ozma's resurrection as non-creation. So why would he give his own relic this ability if he views resurrection as an abomination? Now onto the former theory, if the staff were a mechanism for creating anything, would Ozma not have tried already to create a weapon or item capable of defeating Salem? General Ironwood describes the relic as a limitless energy source. Now while this doesn't sound impressive on its own in a world full of awesome...
Oh, you're gonna say it?
Sorry. I will push back against the God of Light. It is creation, but not in a traditional sense, and you are not being creative enough to think of it like that. God of Light.
I love that, from what I've seen at least, a big majority of the RWBY fandom does not like the God of Light specifically. Because of his weird inconsistencies, and I am burningly curious to see if we're actually supposed to be siding with this guy or not in the long run of the show. Because given the writers' track record, it seems very much up their alley to accidentally write this person as someone unlikable and untrustworthy while having all these other characters.
I'm just going to point out it's more than likely going to be intentionally written as a unlikable and evil character at this rate because of the voice actor for the God of Light.
Well, I think that they also said that the gods were supposed to be imperfect gods, like the Greek gods.
Yeah.
So I think that they kind of like saved their asses there on just with that alone.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting.
Yeah.
We in our modern age are able to accomplish all that we can because we harness energy in ways that
Dr. Stone, let's go.
A seemingly infinite energy source that is self-contained in something the size of a school gymnasium is nothing short of miraculous. And I don't think people are giving this the credit it deserves. Now, even if the relic could be used to conjure up miracle weapons, it would still mean removing it from its current task, keeping the city afloat. The comedy of trying to conjure up a weapon and then quickly put the...
all you would need to do is just put it somewhere else on Solitas.
I was going to say,
just take
all
the
you need to do
there.
is take whatever thrusters that are being powered by it and just angle them, like, down and to the left, and you could start moving. Like, just put them at a 30-degree angle and you're good.
Pretty much. And like, it, like I said, I have no idea what, he does raise a good point where it's like, yeah, it's so weird how it doesn't seem like Ozpin even experimented with the staff of creation in ways that could probably stop Salem. Like, I don't know, just an infinitely powerful cage or something that he could just throw to the sun,
Do we know why Atlas is floating? Like, why is that the thing they decided to do with the staff?
Because it looked cool.
Like, I don't know. Like, I know there was a World of Remnant about it. And, like, they said that, like, hey, I think they said that it was Ozpin who decided to have Atlas float above by using the Staff of Creation.
Yeah, but why?
Which I don't know. It's such a stupid thing to have in the first place.
Because if it was in that world of Remnant, that world of Remnant would be the one that's like, there's no Grimm in Atlas, so it's not like there's like a safety measure of floating it up.
Fair, they say that again. I'm pretty sure in like volume 7 and 8. So like, yeah, we could just call us being an idiot. Like, why even have the floating city? They're already safe because the frozen tundra, allegedly
Kaiser
being a good defense against a
Kaiser, because poor people.
Banana
Animal says,
fair enough.
With the big emphasis on the number 4 in this show, do you think there'll be 4 gods? We know 4 gods exist. Light, dark, animal, and whatever the fuck the one is from the tabletop game.
They made a god for the tabletop game.
Oh yeah, because one of the characters has a semblance that ties back to a deity of some sort. They're not. I don't know if they ever like elaborate.
It has to be some over the top drama.
I remember
thing.
that being revealed, and we watched the first episode, and I fucking hated the Grimm campaign. It was just so boring.
Oh man.
What would the blacksmith be? Would that technically be like a god or like a super god or a mother god?
I guess it would be a mother god because she created the other two.
Mommy god.
The blacksmith is non-binary.
Send the corner, you. Anyways.
Staff back is not lost on me, but it's not known if these items would even stick around. Because once again, the staff can only be used for one purpose at a time. Would Team RWBY's plan work? Ironically, for the reasons I outlined in the previous video, Team RWBY's plan is the one I would take if retreat were not possible. Just not for the main reason they gave. Also, if you heard those air quotes I just used on the word plan, it's because they don't actually have a plan, it's just boundless idealism and nothing practical.
Yep.
Now why would I take Team RWBY's side in this scenario? A siege situation seems unfavorable, and running doesn't seem to be possible. One of the most crucial passages of Sun Tzu's Art of War speaks on different types of ground. There are 9 types, but the relevant one here is desperate ground. A situation in which we can't retreat, or where we lose strength the longer we avoid fighting. So fight we must. If you have a topic that you would like to suggest for another video, please do leave it in the form of a comment down below.
I mean, there's just the biggest problem with any of this is there's so many variables we don't know about because they don't want to go into the world building or explore it in an interesting way. They just they dump on us a lot of the overview, but they don't go into any of the specifics, so we don't know like any of the grounding. We don't know what the cost of what is the price of a dust crystal? What is the cost of bread in RWBY? I'm sorry, but like even in Full Metal Alchemist, we occasionally run into characters running out of money and they can't afford something. So we get a kind of an idea of how much things cost in that world. Like, you gotta give us some barometer of like how much all of this is running. Does a crate of dust cost the equivalent of real world $100 or $1 million? There's a really large difference between that, and it tells us the value of this kind of stuff. It tells you the rarity of this kind of stuff. If it costs $100 for a crate of dust, that shit is being handed out like fucking hot cakes on a cold day.
I think an important thing. Pay attention to how much we've spent talking on this topic, and how much Crumbly Cube has spent talking on this topic. This is a conversation that should have happened in the show.
In the show,
yes. Like the fact that they make their one point, they don't elaborate on their points at all. And then it's like, that's it. Beginning and end, it stops right there. And it's like, the show never really explores its own ideas.
Yeah, like...
It's like they're allergic to world building.
Yeah, it's like, in some ways, you kind of have to write your characters to be around as smart as the audience can be, right? Like, for example, I just finished watching Zatch Bell, or Gash Bell in Japanese. I watched the sub for. It's great. The manga is even better. It is fantastic. Go watch it and read it if y'all haven't. The sequel manga is still going, thank God. There was a situation, there was a very similar, like, moral situation that happened in the story. Long story short, there's this, like, big super demon that is, like, the secret weapon of the demon world that someone is trying to unseal so that they can basically just so basically they can just take over the battle royale with barely any effort, right? And in order to unseal them, to unseal that demon, they need to have a collection of a bunch of other demons with really powerful spells in order to like blow up the seal to it. That's basically that. Before, however, while the main characters were infiltrating this big demon who was like the size of an entire city, by the way. They
infiltrating a demon.
Is that necessary to know?
Yeah. Yes. It's very large and it just tells how incredibly powerful this is. So while infiltrating this dude, they destroyed one of the demons that was brought in by the main villain of the arc in order to unseal it. And so the main character Gash, or Zatch really, was the fact that some of the demons were actually cursed, so that if they don't blow up this demon seal by this and that in like a couple of days, they die permanently. And so Gash is faced with a choice of whether he can be the one to fill in the spot to unseal the demon, or just abandon those people and potentially save the world just by proxy, because they don't have enough power to break that seal. It was a really good moment because Gash didn't just say, "No, fuck that, I'll do both." He actually finds a way to explain how that's possible.
Oh shit! Doodly ding dong TikTok. Hello, just wanted to say, send a super chat before I leave. Gonna go game with my brother, so I'll watch the rest of the stream later. Hope you all have a great day, night, whatever. Have a great.
Have fun.
You do. Have fun,
dude. Yeah, but yeah, that kind of thing is what the show really needed. Like, again, sometimes you need to write the characters to be at least a little bit as smart as the audience members.
It would be great if Team RWBY just struggled to make a decision about something just once. Just anything.
You can't have a woman struggle. That would be sexist. In order to make a feminist show, you have to not treat them like human beings.
I'm not gonna lie.
Because as we've learned, feminists aren't human.
I'm not gonna lie. I started writing a script to think about whether or not the show is very female forward or not.
I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
I got a comment on my Jean dying instead of Pyrrha video, and they were real salty at the idea of a boy character dying. But they pointed out all these male characters that have died in RWBY, and that led to like a whole thing. But whatever. And I was looking into it, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, of course. Long story short, of course there are more dead male characters in RWBY. There's like almost twice as many male characters as there are female characters.
Yep.
And a lot of the female characters are one and done, like Sienna or Talk, where they only arrive for one scene and then are immediately exited from the show. Where a lot of the male characters are larger players, like, who stick around from the very beginning.
I was gonna say, there's no female headmaster, now that I think about it.
Nope, there's no female headmasters.
Although
the only female character in the whole show who has any sort of political position of power is Councilwoman Camilla.
I was gonna say
the Atlas Council.
Like, it actually does kind of piss me off the more I think about those epilogues, because we see Theodore, we see him, but Theodore is a really hands-off. Like, he's kind of like, you know how Ozpin was sort of the laid-back headmaster, and Glinda was really the more disciplinarian, the person in charge.
Yeah.
Take that to the nth degree with Theodore and Rumpel. And the fact that we don't see Rumpel, who really is kind of the person truly in charge of Vacuo Academy, is pissing me off more and more. And it's like, oh, you just wanted to show off the iconicism of the guy with the RWBY gloves, and because he's hot.
Yeah.
But like, show me Rumpel. Show me a unique female character, please.
Impossible.
Make women great again. That's all. That's
But
that's the message of the stream.
Like Critter said, the most important character with political power that's female is Camilla. This character that barely gets any lines and is mostly in the background the entire time, and the only ones that are relatively important that are female characters that aren't our main characters are Winter, Glinda, who hasn't really been a factor since the first 3 volumes.
Penny.
Yeah, Penny.
Who dies.
Yeah, who dies.
And it's like, yeah, of course, all
Sienna,
these male...
dies.
Alex,
of course, all
who
these
dies.
male characters died. All of the villains are males. they're all mostly men.
Coincidence? I think not.
The vast majority of characters that matter to the overall story are men, and the ones that are female don't really do all that much except for show us the story because they are POV characters.
Zero to Hero.
This is exactly what fucking Twin Zinc said in one of her videos. That's so funny.
Zero to Hero says RWBY is such a female forward show that its first season it stops to have an arc centered on the main side character, the male side
That
character.
will never not be funny. That will never not be hilarious.
And think of this. So the maidens exist, and they're really cool and powerful characters, right? That makes up for the lack of female political figures, right? No, because the maidens only exist because a man on a whim decided to share a piece of his power. And that man only has power because some male gods gave him power, because when the female asked for them to do the same thing, to give him life again, they had to make her suffer and punish her for all of eternity for making a single mistake one time. Because she managed to trick them. She's the bad one who tricked the male characters and needs to be punished forever, but the man gets to reward the man, and then the man gets to offer a piece of his power to the women at the bottom of this totem pole.
Wait, RWBY is sexist? Question mark?
RWBY is incredibly sexist, and you know, it wouldn't be nearly as bad. I mean, I could see people being very pissed off about it, but like, it wouldn't be nearly as bad if it didn't tout itself as kind of a girl power fantasy when it's really
no. And like, it's not like you can't put that into context for the show, because with Fractured Fairy Tales, I do want to have a lot of male characters in power, and it's going to be explored with how my version of RWBY is going to navigate that, and how a lot of her frustration comes from the fact that she is a pawn of a lot of these male characters, and how she breaks free from that to be her own person and to be her own warrior and savior. So you can do that well, but you have to, acknowledge that this is what you're wanting to do.
I just get bored when so many characters are male. It's like, sometimes female is just like better, has a stronger presence in the scene that you need. Spoiler from I might rework this honestly, but Artificer 2, there's the opening section of it deals with an intense political negotiation, which I
remember this,
and I thought I could have the prince there that he kind of backs the fuck off at the end of the first novel. He pisses off the royal family of Hikaj. But no, I'm like, you know what? Princely lines typically have a lot of siblings to try and, keep the bloodline alive. What if I gave him a sister? So I've thrown a princess in there now, who is a complete and utter manipulative bitch. But it kind of helps because everyone, like, it's very clear that everyone in the situation is trying to political each other out of the game. It's like, so it's like, it's way more interesting. It's like she brings a completely different energy to how I established the original prince. So it's like, I wanted that more of an antagonistic energy, but in a very regal form that she brings.
Yeah.
Cue the Batwoman. I'm a woman. God, has there ever been anything as embarrassing as Batwoman?
Dude, now if you want to show that's really sexist,
yes.
that one takes the cake.
It's like, yes, I'm gonna prove to you how much better women are by completely hijacking the iconography of a strictly male character. It's like, okay, sure, you do that. I'm sure that'll work out well for you. Right. Also, I'm gonna shit on the male character that I'm basing myself on. Oh,
okay, yeah, like that is bad, but like I don't think that taking iconography that used to belong to a man is necessarily a sexist thing in and of itself, because like children, for instance, or spiritual children can take things from their parents and all that. And
shut the frick up, Raymond. That's my hero you're talking about.
No, you mean Shiro, okay?
No, I agree, because like the more I'm thinking about it, it's not much different than just the typical passing of the mantle type stuff that you can get. It really is the element of, not only am I taking your iconography, I'm going to say that I'm doing it better than you and that you were shit the entire time. That's really the attitude that like really pisses people off about like Batwoman and about a lot of other shows coming out. Like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good
it's the difference between it's the difference between a character who says that they hope that they live up to the legacy and can contribute to it in some way, and a character that says, I'm the best. I'm so much better than you. I'm going to be the one that's remembered for this, not you.
Or hell, like even then, like something like that, the latter example, like say, just having the whole thing of like, oh, I'll do your legacy, but betterer can work if, let's say, with this scenario. What if the legacy was bad before? Like that's basically like Weiss's freaking motivation, right?
Yeah.
She wants to fix the family name because it's gotten so much of a bad rap through her actions and stuff like that. That can work,
Yes.
But when the problem is with a lot of these properties is that they often do so with characters that do not deserve that kind of that level of vitriol towards their legacy. Oh, so the mindset Jello Apocalypse brought to Lovely Complex? Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna make my own romance anime with blackjacks and hookers. Well, not hookers, because that's not progressive. Sorry.
And
I
sex
still
workers. Thank you.
I still don't understand his beef with the main female lead. I still don't understand. I still support her. I think that it was Otani, the male love interest, that was being very unreasonable.
Damn.
Also, I was going to comment on Zero to Hero and get an argument about Batwoman and nature of iconography, but you know what? We have one more video to get through, which is
this is 4 minutes.
This
I
is
think
2
we'll
years
be good.
ago. It's more closer to 5, but anyway.
Well, we can still have a discussion on it afterwards.
Yeah, why Ironwood really lost.
Here, and today we're going to be talking about why Ironwood really lost. You know, I see a lot of people going on about tactics or the...
Hey, wait a minute. You're not a black guy. Who was the guy at the end of that other video? I think there might be something different here. Actually, I'm just curious. I don't know what that was. I don't know what happened there.
Are there multiple
people?
Are there multiple people on this
like
one
I
channel?
said, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's like, like I said, their main content is just, fan dubs. Well, not even fan dubs, but just like parody content with RWBY, and they have multiple voices in it. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's like more than one person. Just fucking thing.
Just love that we see his face. It's like, wait a minute.
It's like, that's not what I thought.
This argument of bad writing, but this is all overlooking what I consider to be the critical factor. So, who has all the answers? Why, me, of course. Can't you tell by my authority as some guy on the internet and this ginormous microphone right here? Side note, it's not really plugged in, I just have this here for presentation purposes and whatnot.
Fancy.
But anyway, I'm here today to posit that Ironwood didn't lose because he deployed his forces all stupid. Ironwood didn't lose because he trusted no one instead of a military police state. Ironwood didn't even lose because he lost his damn mind. He of course lost because he didn't have the power of family. That is right, everyone knows the most powerful force in motion pictures is the power of family. Ohana means family, and it also means this is why Jimmy got his ass kicked. Now you might be wondering, is this
I did
just
say
one big elaborate fast meme?
he lost because he didn't have support.
Yeah. Actually,
I mean, this is
check
essentially what he's
for this.
saying.
In before
Wait,
Michael
check
Jackson.
the date for this.
This is 2 years ago.
Date?
What day?
I know. Yeah, what day?
Why?
Is it April Fool's Day?
Oh, that's a good. July 17th.
Okay.
Okay.
Damn. Oh wow, a day before.
Oh,
dude, this is the 16th today.
Wow.
The odds. What are the odds?
No, this theory is 100% grounded in RWBY canon and is factual. It is lore driven and it is thematic. So without further ado, let's get into a few examples. Team RWBY.
He's going to reference the Fairy Tales book, and I'm going to be very worried about that.
I'm excited. This is fun. This video is fun already.
Because they are
not friends. Family.
Side note, Ruby's dumb smile always makes you laugh here. How was Penny saved? Oh, that's right, by her father, which last I checked is family. How was Jacques Schneep?
That didn't help her out in the long run. I'm just gonna point that.
Yeah, if John is supposed to be part of the family,
I was gonna say like not even just Penny dies, but her grandfather is still somewhere in the stratosphere. We don't.
Brought down. Weiss's mom helped her, and last I checked, a maternal unit is family.
Oh wait, but family didn't help Jock.
No, family didn't help Jock.
How was Winter
Family brought down Jock.
Well, I can tell you right now, it is the power of Best Girl, who is also family.
It was Ruby with her laser eyes.
Dude, this is
a meme video. This has to be a meme
right
video.
now.
I don't know. Why'd you release this outside of April 1st? Did you just get the date wrong?
He only remembered to work on it on the day of April 1st, and he's like, shit.
Why did Amity make it into the stratosphere? Because of family and a bunch of explosions.
Look. He foresaw the future that we would be reacting to this video on this day, at this time, at this moment. So he just gift wrapped this just for us to pick up one day.
Amity Tower get up and running? Was it the military diversion of valuable mantle resources? No, it was clearly the power of this father-daughter bond.
No! I was joking!
Well, so was he most likely.
There was dozens of hundreds of people working on the damn thing. There had to have been. What are you smoking right now?
They all had families.
Also, this was part of Ironwood's initial plan.
No wonder this shit is 5 minutes. Good God.
You better say psych at the end of this.
Boom. Once again, family. How was the Hound defeated? Silver Eyes, a very extended family of warriors. Oh, and
my
the
God.
Sheens were helping out.
Okay.
How are you going to sketch this out?
Fine about that last one. The Silver Eyes is the real fucking bullshit, though.
Which is also a family. You see, people, the system works. By now, the mountain of evidence in front of you is inassailable, nay, irrefutable.
You're taking this shit so
I will
hard.
give you a bronze medal
those were-
in this Olympic competition.
The winners, but what about the folks joining Ironwood and the Aesops in the loser circle? Well, let's go down the list, shall we? Why can the Aesops, implied to be the most OP huntsmen and huntresses in Atlas, best a few recently graduated teenagers? Well, it's not because Team RWBY are the once-in-a-lifetime team of huntresses, I'll tell you that much. It's because the Aesops are only co-workers. Co-workers, last I checked, aren't family.
No!
Dude.
I was gonna say, how often do you hear in a corporate structure, we don't consider you a worker, we consider you family.
There's not enough pizza parties happening at the Aesop's.
Listen,
Not
they
only-
don't constantly sniff each other's farts and talk about their feelings, Raymond. That's how this works. Come on.
Not only that, but like, at least in an Asian corporate structure, you are supposed to see your employers, your coworkers as family, to the point where CEOs adopt people who they want to succeed in the business so that they become their children so that they can succeed them when they retire.
I'm glad I'm getting the vibe that it's just a meme at this rate. At least I hope it is.
Dude, what if he plays the freaking Fast and Furious "See You Again" song? I'm gonna fucking dip. I'm gonna be fucking
If you haven't
dead.
found a job interview and the interviewer says that they treat everyone there like family, run. That workplace
Okay.
is probably toxic as hell.
You actually addressed
Tyrion
that.
and Watts.
Fair.
Also, co-workers, I refer to my previous answer. Neo, she's probably an orphan and Roman's not around anymore, so no family. Hazel.
No,
she murdered
no
her family.
family.
Didn't she murder her
Dude,
family?
it's like
I
a
didn't
no
ever finish that
bitches
book.
meme.
Yeah, she murdered her family with Roman. Roman was her adoptive family.
Oh, last I checked, Gretchen didn't have a landing strategy, so Hazel doesn't have a family anymore.
Yeah, her family didn't save her in that.
Raven turned her back on a real family for a fake family.
How are you gonna stretch this that Team RWBY is family and yet say that Raven has a fake daughter, that her adopted daughter is not family? What the hell, dude?
This entire it's such a shit post.
Of course, there may be exceptions to this rule, and you are protesting right now in the comments below, but let's nip a few of those right in the bud. Emerald turned her back on her mommy, but won the day. Sorry, I just need a sec. I just called Cinder mommy, and that just made me like throw up in my mouth a little. And they
Fair.
just did it again there. Okay, but for real, Cinder isn't anywhere near old enough to be Emerald's mom, so not really a family. Speaking of Cinder,
Damn. Now with that attitude,
fanfiction.net
has anything to say about it.
Look,
I was
Emerald
gonna say
has a
with
kink. Stop kink shaming, my dude.
Yeah, yo.
I was gonna say not with that attitude. In fact, if you try real hard, you can make her Ruby's mommy too.
Oh my god.
Ruby's perpetual loser. Well, she technically won and doesn't have any family, right? Well, that's where you're wrong, kiddos. Salem, for better or worse, is Cinder's nefarious fairy godmother, which not only proves the Chronicle hypothesis, but is a type of family.
Did you just make a pun of nefarious? You motherfucker.
See? Even evil people can come out on top if they have the power of family. Okay, and then there's this racist ass Karen who's a family, but was promptly roasted by Yang, I Burn, Xiaolong. Well, Karen technically didn't lose anything here. She still got to whine and complain all the way there and was sheltered by people she hated. Now for the...
She lost her entire home.
But not the family.
But not the
Exactly.
family, which is what is important.
Ohana means family.
Ohana
Dude,
means family.
Do your voice, Raven. What are you doing?
Hello, Brian Twig, the Cutler Fields. Just wanted to pop in and say you and the Judgmental Critter have been big inspirations to my overhaul RWBY rewrite. Thank you and see you all around. Thank you, Caleb.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you very much. But also, fuck off, Raymond. You did that just because you wanted to use the voice for longer.
You were trying to, man. I heard you struggling.
To be fair, I ate a piece of cake earlier. I did not do me any favor.
See,
It's right. You have a drink.
young Kaiser is too caked up.
Okay, all right.
Main event.
Somebody
Look at
clip
Jimmy
that.
Ironwood
Somebody
himself.
clip
Well,
that.
not much to be said here other than he pushed away the only thing he had, that was family. Winter's alienation was gradual at first, but turns out family has limits, and wanting to nuke a city was Winter.
Family didn't stop him from losing his family.
And you know, to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised, you know, given Winter's daddy issues. I think we all know where this is going.
Without the power of family, Ironwood's already untenable position fell apart, and thus, he lost.
God, that was so fucking lame.
He's just standing there like a deer in the headlights, and then only when it's like right in front of him did he realize his slowpoke Pokemon ass mind is like, oh my god, she reflected it back at me.
I don't think there's anything I like
my
about
God.
the Winter Ironwood fight these days.
Me neither. I hate it.
If you
so
couldn't tell by
much.
now, I was being incredibly facetious and ironic, and I feel the need to say that only because this is the internet and it doesn't work unless you say you're being ironic, so...
No, we could tell,
There's a
but still.
disclaimer. So I was trying something a little bit new here. Did you like this format? Let me know.
I mean, it took me a minute, but yeah, I got your
point. Do you have something you'd like to see me sarcastically explain?
No, I knew from the start.
Let me know down in the comments below.
Well, no, the fact that he held up the book, it was like, okay, that was a really smart misdirect. If I'm being honest, that was I give him that.
I'm going to totally go through every single video of theirs.
Yeah, he does a lot of good stuff. He makes a lot of really good, fun, just shitposty parody videos of like what the characters think in certain moments of the show. Like he's been at it for a while.
Awesome.
But yeah, those were some pretty nice videos. So I guess overall, Ironwood, he was just kind of in a shit position to begin with.
Yeah.
And a lot of the options of what he could do better are limited in the no one ever asks the fucking questions we need answered so we can get the information we can make that judgment on.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, actually, you know what? But here's the thing, okay? The real message that we should all take away from all of this.
If you say family, I'm going to kick you from the call.
The second thing that we should take away from this whole stream, right, guys, is something very important. Ironwood did nothing wrong.
I mean, yeah, overall, it's just like Ironwood had a plan. It was not a good plan. It could have been a much better plan, but RWBY did not have a plan. That is not a plan. That isn't even the beginning of a plan.
It's very easy to think of the scenario like the sinking Titanic and that scene of the doors being shut even though there were guys still there. It's like, well, here's the trolley problem. Do you wait to close the doors so that everyone can get free, but let the water flood in and drown everyone else, or do you sacrifice the few people that are still in there and let them drown in order to potentially save the rest of the passengers and crew members on the ship?
It's
very easy.
as though the crewbie, the writers, understand that there is a moral dilemma in media they consume, where a person who is idealistic wants to do the morally best option, but the logistics around them make that difficult. They seem to understand that that is a thing in media, but they do not seem to understand why.
Yep.
Yeah, they understand the method, but they don't understand like the philosophy behind it, which just goes to show how much they thoroughly don't understand how to make this sort of thing.
All of RWBY is just Miles and Carrie taking ideas from other things they've seen and trying to copy it, but not understanding what it is they're actually copying.
It's derivative. Everything that they've done is incredibly derivative.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't understand like why things are done. Like you said, they just know that the thing ended in something cool, so if they replicate it somehow, some way, it will also be cool. That's not how that works.
It's why I like really don't like the idea of the anime homework thing. Because you can watch every single like highest rated anime, movie, show, whatever. But if you don't understand the like creative elements behind these things that made it good, you're not gonna get anything from it.
Like
So just because they sat there and like stared at anime and went, okay, mech is cool, but they don't know why, they don't know how.
They didn't like go into the development processes, listen to audio commentaries, let the people talk about what made them want to do these things and why they made the choices they did. Fuck, I would love to sit down and listen to if I could understand Japanese, listen to the audio commentary if they have one for either of the Pat Labor movies, because those movies are so tightly written and are so goddamn good that like I would love to know just like, okay, was one of your people on the writing staff in the military? Did they understand these aspects? Were they in the police? Like what experiences are you drawing from? What references did you guys use to understand how the different interlocking elements of these plots work? What kind of science background did you have? Did you just have an idea of like, oh, we wanted to use this element for this reason, so I decided to look into, oh, can it be used in this way, shape, or form? And it's like, oh yeah, no, it totally can. It's like, I want to know what your process was so that if I need to do something similar, I know what I can turn to look for and what I need to be interested in.
Yeah. But Raymond, if they did that, it would take longer to make RWBY.
Good.
I know that it's a bit of a meme, but this is ultimately what Hayao Miyazaki was talking about when he said that anime was a mistake. Because anime only references itself now. Anime has become very derivative. Whereas what he wants in anime is to go out and form your own ideas based off of the world outside of anime. But if you only take references from anime, the only thing that you're going to produce is an inferior version of the previous anime. And when somebody else makes an inferior version of your inferior product, you get inferior products squared.
You get Gundam Seed.
I really do think the people in charge of RWBY, the writers and directors specifically, I really do think they don't really like the show. Like, I think they've either, it was never really their project to have much heart in to begin with, or they've just grown tired of it over the years. But they like RWBY because it's the thing that gives them notoriety and money, so they have to keep doing it. But like, with every single volume, I just get this feeling that they are not having fun with these characters and this story.
Yeah. I could see it in a little bit more of a nicer way, in that they don't like the show, they don't like the characters, but it was their friend's show, and keeping it around is like keeping him alive in some sort of way. Mm-hmm.
I get to see it as exhaustion. They're just tired.
Yeah.
Any one of these suppositions could be correct, but like the idea is like every single time I look at Carrie, I just see a man that's dead on the inside. And it's like, and admittedly, he's kind of been that way since he's been like young, but all the same, it's like the more and more like you go through time, and it's just that the man has gotten heavier and heavier bags under his eyes.
The man was born with 40% battery.
Oh, that's harsh. But true, but that's certainly true. It's like I would love to, now that they're like, most of them are free agents. Oh my god, I could probably get like a swinging interview with Eddie Rivas. Maybe. I might try to swing an interview with Eddie Rivas. That'd be fascinating to pick his brain on things.
Are you sure? Because isn't he the one that like is the most fighty?
Yes, but you know what? What's better than going into a conversation with someone who very much disagrees with you and just be like, you know what? Let's try and figure it out, man.
I guess so.
Like, I think of the reactions potentially.
Pushback media like Freerun and Spider-Verse wouldn't work without a large backlog of reference material. True, but there's a difference between being derivative and creating your ideas while also taking inspiration in some small way. Like, you have a difference between a purely derivative work and a partially derivative work. Spider-Verse wouldn't work as a brand new property, sure, but it also has its own elements outside of the elements that it's taking stuff from. And it's the same with Freerun. like you have the ability to work your own elements into it outside of what you're taking inspiration from. That is what makes a work unique and not derivative, even if you are taking inspiration out of something else. And that is why I think that it's absolutely disgusting when someone says something like, oh, well, this other product did this element before, so they're just stealing from it. It's like, no. Motherfucker.
Oh, God. It's like how my dad thinks about
derivative
media.
versus inspired, like what CBS says in chat.
My dad thinks that way about a lot of shows and movies that I find so annoying in the terms like
gross.
Well, he's very much about the novel idea. Like he doesn't think about so much about the execution. It's like, oh man, that idea was really cool, and I'm like, yeah, but I've had to like really buckle down and be like, yeah, but how was the execution? So like, if you were to see, if we were to have another movie that were to just do the original Star Wars trilogy all over again, but it would have actually like executed everything much more tightly with much more charisma, but it would just done less well at the box office and would be less popular. I kind of feel like my dad would look at it as like, well, it's just doing the same thing that Star Wars did. And I'm like, yes, but was it doing it better or worse? And he's like, well, it's just doing it all over again. I'm like, that's not the problem.
Yeah, that's not an answer.
You need to show your father the first 40 minutes of my Digimon video.
He would tune out immediately.
I imagine, but
I have
that is the exact reason why the video takes so long to go through at the beginning and before I talk about Digimon, because it's of people like that.
There are exactly, I think, like 3 anime he can name off the top of his head, and that's typically after I reference them. I think it's Madoka, it's Steins Gate, and maybe Code Geass.
What a collection.
Well, those are like 3 that I could show him. Like him and my mom, I actually managed to show them all 3 of those because they are relatively grounded in some way. They're actually like, for lack of a better word, and I hate using it this way, they're more adult oriented in certain regards. So it's like it had more adult storylines that they could grasp onto. Like I could actually, now that I think about it, I could probably show them Freerun. I think they might actually appreciate Freerun. I could probably, I've entertained showing them Fruits Basket, but I think the first few episodes are going to be a real hard sell for them. In fact, I think the first season would be a real hard sell for them.
More than likely.
Well, like that is why I said like it's fine if this isn't your thing, but at least watch the first 5 episodes, because it was the 5th episode that I really thought was gonna sell you. If none of the other episodes did.
Yeah.
Contrarian Strawman commented, Critter, didn't you release a video about YouTubers trying to break away from their successful content and started streaming services because they're bored of it? I did. I made that little parody video about Critter Plus because I was truly baffled that the Try Guys made a streaming app. But if you want a bigger video that goes into that topic in more detail, I just rewatched it recently. It's a really good video essay. It's Lady Emily's video about Doug Walker's attempt at doing demo reel, where he gave up the nostalgia critic thing, tried to do something else, and just had to go back begrudgingly to do the nostalgia critic again because that was his only way of keeping an audience and making money. So, yeah, highly recommend that video if that is a topic that interests you.
What fascinates me is that he has integrated everything from a lot from demo reel into his more modern things, and I think
everybody hated it.
Well, no, I think it's doing pretty well for him now. Like it was rough at the beginning.
Yeah, because his old audience has either begrudgingly accepted it or moved on to other things, and he's gotten a new audience who doesn't know the time before he did the demo reel skits inside of his review videos. But I'm one of the older ones because I started watching him when I was still in high school. My friend showed him to me, and I actually helped contribute a little bit to demo reel because I wanted to thank him. Because when I went to see him at a convention, it was the first time that they were making us pay in order to get signed content and stuff from the guests. And they had a really convoluted system where you had to go in a line in order to get a ticket and then go into another line in order to get your signed thing. And in between all that, I lost my little ticket, and so I had to go back and buy another one. And I complained to him about it when I went to get my photograph with him, and then he turned away from me. He dug through his bag and gave me the money back.
Aww.
So he said, "I believe you."
Like that's.
So I wanted to thank him for that. So I contributed a little bit to demo reel as a thank you.
I was gonna say he's a very charismatic person in person. Like there are so many unfortunate things with the whole change the channel thing, though. Somehow he's gotten off scot-free because he's only tangentially responsible for any of that.
Right.
It's more his brother, from what I remember.
It's more his brother
Yeah.
and the guy that they have, Michael something, I think,
Right.
who manages everything. Izanagi says, I'm an old guard of the NC, and I find his comedic skits and their reviews to be annoying in hindsight. They are distracting from analysis, and his actual reviews is surface level, first level at worst. No, I find him amusing. I used to find his gags more amusing when I was younger. I still remember very fondly his review of Jaws 4, where the main character flies from where she is in New England down to the Florida Keys, and the shark chases her, and he's like, oh, you're leaving? Not on my watch! And like the shark like rears up on its back and rockets into the sky like a freaking Apollo rocket. And it just cuts to them playing the Batman theme as it's flying through the clouds. And I was like, that's fucking funny. He has hits.
Also, Isa, it's very well known, and you know this, that you have a problem with comedy because you don't really understand most of it.
And his newer skits, with the actors and everything, he's found his groove, I think, with it, that I hope is a happy middle ground for him.
I don't really watch his content much anymore, but I do really enjoy Folding Ideas, another YouTuber, has a really great video breaking down his
The wall
review.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Great content.
Sure. Although one thing from the Nostalgia Critic, because I used to watch him a lot back in like 2014 to 2019. And it was one of his older videos where he was doing like the what was it, the bum reviews, right? And I think he did like one for
Change! You got change? Help a guy out here!
Change! You got change! Yeah, and like he was doing it for the fifth Transformers movie, and he just gets knocked out, and friggin' Nostalgia Critic just goes on this huge rant, and he just says, Michael Bay has your penis. Michael Bay just has your penis. He just goes and explains that. I don't remember exactly where that goes, but he is basically pointing out that like, dude, we gotta get something. These movies have to have something new, something important. I mean, not even important, but something inventive in them. Add variety, because Michael Bay is just distracting you, and other creators like him are distracting you with all these derivative ass movies. To circle back to the topic of derivatives.
Relic Classic had a comedy YouTuber I used to like, now makes piss jokes every video. Dude, that's kind of how I feel with Game Grumps. Because like Game Grumps early on, especially when John was there, was like they had a lot of lowbrow humor. I'm not pretending they didn't, but like they used to have more interesting conversations, like a lot about the game, and they still do from time to time. But like the longer and deeper into Danny's tenure, the more Aaron has gotten like super basic. Like he's the one making a lot of like the more low-brow jokes, and meanwhile Danny's just off to the side. It's really awkward sometimes.
It's a lot of, you could tell Aaron, like, born on the internet, knows he has to be in entertainment for the show that they're trying to do, but he's also so old by this point, he doesn't know how to do entertainment except for resorting to that like classic 2012 style yell at something kind of gimmick. Be bad at the video game kind of gimmick. I only watch the Grumps. I only watch 10-minute Power Hour nowadays. I've given up on Let's Plays a long time ago.
I have never watched them. Oh my god, it's so cute, Deterex.
Oh my
god. You make new art? Hold on.
It's a Stitch version of Raymond.
Oh my god.
Like a Jumba experiment.
Oh, that's adorable! Oh!
What experiment number would he have?
He says 382. That's what he said.
Oh.
I wonder if there's
shit,
some
I didn't see
significance
that.
to that. But
Yeah, that's really cool, dog.
I just looked up because I was already in there, and then I saw cuteness, and I died.
But yeah, I mean, so yeah. Anyway, Ironwood. I think we've covered quite a bit here. I think we should probably move on to showing off the art now.
Yeah. Since we're talking about it.
Yeah. So first we have and I took that personally with Twi, which is adorable and violent, which we all love.
It's great.
Then we have the process of redeeming heroes and villains in RWBY.
If you're a cute girl, you're in. If you're a dude, nah.
I love the drastic difference between what the girl is doing and what the guy is doing.
Yeah, yeah.
We have Kaiser, Metal Man reacts to plant.
What is organic substance?
This one I really love. Ironwood's Armada.
This is so funny.
It's so adorable.
Face. It's his like regular ass Ironwood expression.
Yeah, he's just like, this is not a joke. It's literally like, this is my army. You will die. And it's like, okay.
RWBY's like, we gotta get out of here, guys. we need to get to Vacuo now.
And then finally, Experiment 382, the Celtic Phoenix. Just so cute.
So cute.
It's so adorable.
Has a little bit of Lugia going on with the fingers there.
Yeah.
Tiny bit, yeah.
Normally I'm Ho-Ho, which I appreciate the Lugia reference because I actually prefer Lugia.
I think most people do.
Yeah.
That's wrong. Not me.
Oh.
Not me over here.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, look, actually, most and then some, we've got 3 and 1. So
exactly.
According to RWBY math, that works out.
Oh no, I'm Iron.
No, worse. You're Miles and Carey.
No!
Your worst nightmare.
Like most
Critter's
and
gonna
others.
Critter's gonna have a nightmare now. She's gonna go to bed and then she's gonna dream that she turned into Carrie.
Oh my god.
I've been just exclusively dreaming about Digimon for no reason. I've been looking at Digimon, but I'm not like engaging with like a show or a game. It's just in my dreams constantly.
Oh,
maybe that's a sign you should watch Tamers.
I started thinking about doing more trivia. And I was looking at more Digimon for you all to purchase at the shop.
That'd be fun.
I was gonna say, like, I'm still kind of like brainstorming for a campaign to run. I really want to do the Monster Hunter / Dungeon Meshi campaign. I have a lot of fun ideas to make it kind of a sandbox adventure.
Yes.
The problem is it would probably require you guys to play Pathfinder, which is slightly more complicated than D&D.
I would need you at some point.
I could try and walk you guys
break that
through
shit
it.
down.
Yeah. It's not like super complicated. The only problem is just like with the difference between it is that often with Pathfinder, it's numerical bonuses. So, you get a +2 here, you get a +2 there, you get a +1 there, as opposed to you get advantage on it, which I admit makes things way simpler, but I find it also kind of boils a lot down to just you have advantage or disadvantage. So it's like give or take.
I feel very bad for you, Deaderex. I have very elaborate dreams. Like I have dreams about the esoteric meaning of life. With children who have powers, who have to learn about what their place is in the world. I have dreams about people fighting against an oppressive structure in a dystopian future. I get dreams about like a child being turned into a cat until she dies again and then returns to being a child. I get really, really interesting dreams.
Oh my lord.
Jeez Louise.
I dreamed a dream.
I
No.
barely remember.
It's gonna launch into the
barely
MLK speech.
Why are
Anyway,
you making most of the race jokes tonight, Raymond? Jesus.
I don't know. I guess it's just something in the air.
We mentioned Hoyo-verse, and now it was all downhill from there.
Yeah, that's the Hoyo first to racism pipeline.
I love this. Wonder Knight says Twilight giving brainworms, and then they say, "Never mind, Twilight. Please give me the brainworms. I want that shit."
All right.
Yo,
well,
man, Twilight's just dreaming of YA novels for real.
Josh, I've never seen Made in Abyss.
Yeah, she needs to.
Don't. It's upsetting.
I was gonna say,
Oh my God, there's two
legitimately,
different
legitimately, Made in Abyss is on our watch list, but it's
Yes.
I've categorized my watch list for our nights, from like the softest, like, you know, just slice of life, you know, kind of heartwarming stuff, down to the most extreme, dark and depressing. Made in an Abyss is literally at the very bottom, and I have it in brackets right off next to it. Maybe reconsider. It's gonna be one of those ones that like I constantly flip flop on whether or not Twi would like it. So I think it's gonna have to be a slow roll into it. Like, we're just all right. Maybe we'll start watching this one episode at a time each week, and we'll just kind of see if you can handle the frog boiling or not.
Yeah. What was the show that you flip-flopped back into considering, like, oh, if she can handle this because she's showing me this, then she can handle Made in Abyss. What show was that?
Oh, that's a good question. What show was that? It wasn't Eureka 7, was it?
I don't think it was Eureka 7. Because like you occasionally say that with a couple of the shows that I show you, anything that is like mildly dark. I think you said that once with Birdie the Mighty way back in the day.
Well, no, like, because like the problem is I also keep forgetting how dark Made in Abyss goes. Like, I'm thinking of a specific scene.
Say, you
like,
think that Birdie the Mighty is as dark as Made in Abyss?
No, I need to be clarified. Like, what I mostly think of, like, my brain goes to the traumatization of a very specific scene late in the first season.
Yeah.
But then I remember the movie, and then I remember season 2, and then I'm like, okay, I may have to reevaluate. Oh, really? You couldn't get past season 1? Neither of you
actually, I watched all of season 1. I actually, a long time ago, recorded me and my best friend Allison watching it, and then I didn't want to edit that video together because it was a lot to sit through the first time. So then it never happened.
Oh, it might have been Eureka 7.
Because Eureka 7 had some pretty wild shit happen.
It did, yeah.
But not in a very similar way as like.
Yeah, like there is. What I appreciate about Made in Abyss is that it's a very realistic depiction of what happens when you send a couple of 10-year-olds on a world-changing mission, or not. I guess not even world-changing, but like on a very dangerous mission. It's like. It's very honest about that.
On
the
one
downside,
hand,
on one hand, realism. On the other hand, realism.
I was about to say, on one hand, Digimon Adventure. On the other hand, Made in Abyss.
Exactly. Exactly. Made in Abyss is what would really happen to the poor kids in Digimon Adventure.
Yeah. Also,
I
Josh
hate that
said,
you're
Twilight bad news. Amelie took a chainsaw to Madoka's Magia song. Oh.
Well, Magia's written in a fake language, isn't it? Isn't that a made-up language that they came up with that's a combination of English, Japanese, and Latin?
Maybe.
So translating it was going to be weird, no matter what.
Oh, sorry, wait, no. Amelie might have done a really good version of it. I'm trying. Someday the light of love may seem so far away to shine again in yours, transcend and rise above. But there's only one dream, and it has ripped at the seams.
Raymond cover, woo!
Swallow all
Carry
your doubt,
59,
let
let's
your heart
go.
cry out. It's either that or someone else did a really good cover that's just like fucking metal. I recently listened on loop. I'm sorry, I don't typically remember song lyrics that well, but that one I guess just stuck.
If you're talking about the scene, I think you're talking about Raymond. Reka 7 is nowhere near.
Well, I was gonna say like season 1, I think Twi could stomach. It's literally everything after that I'm like, that might be a real hard ask. Like the more, because like the more we've gone through, it's like I think she could handle season 1. It's just that's really where I'm at.
Sure.
And if we get through season 1 and she's still interested in going forward, I think we'll be. And that's when we'll really pump the brakes.
I guess Evangelion will be like the testing of the waters, because that was the one,
the closest barometer.
that was the one that I said that I never wanted to watch because my ex-boyfriend back in the day told me not to watch it because I said that I wouldn't like those sorts of things. So he said, okay, well then don't ever watch Evangelion. And I'm like, okay, I won't.
And the thing is, like, I think like Evangelion is much better at being. Its horror is much more existential. It's a lot less, like graphic.
Body orientation.
Made in Abyss is much more on the graphic end of the scale.
I can handle existential whatevers a lot more because it's just so
it's abstract.
Off. Yeah,
right?
it's abstract. Yeah,
so I think even you would handle Evangelion just fine.
Yeah, I'm the
times there
after
like
we got through Eureka 7, I'm like,
things.
yeah, no, she could champ Eureka 7. Champ.
Oh yeah,
Evangelion.
Also, sometimes I watch sometimes I get bouts of what I want to watch on YouTube. So there's like moments where I'm talking to Raymond and I'm like, oh, I watch these videos now as I eat my dinner, and it's like hoof trimming and fixing videos or surgery videos.
Hoof trimming videos.
Oh my god, we all love that. Great, hoof GP.
Nate the hoof guy.
Hoof GP.
Am I the only one who doesn't know about this?
Oh, you don't? There is it's
really?
weirdly between like the way I describe it. It's a weird cross section between like pimple bursting videos and soap cutting videos.
Yeah.
Because like I never thought about it, but like you have these people that are specifically geared towards trimming the hooves of horses and cows and making sure they're well maintained, because you can get a lot of problems in there. So they actually like they put them in these crutches that lift them off the ground and like position the hooves in such a way that they can easily take a knife to them and cut away like dead layers of hoof. Because hoof is you know, it's a material that constantly keeps growing. So you get these cows with these huge overgrown hooves, and it's like, you see that there? That's a problem. You can tell there's a problem here because of how overgrown it is. It's overcompensating for some problem deeper within, and they dig through it, they trim it down, and it's like, oh, you can see here, there's a crack in the corium. I now know there's a thing called a corium. Because of it.
It is.
That's interesting. I never.
It is on the gross side if you don't. Like it, I get it, but I find it interesting.
Yeah, I find it interesting too.
I know now that if I needed to, like, if I were challenged by a weird, vindictive, and very specific god to take care of a cow's hoof, I could probably do about a 50% good job.
Yeah.
It's like a pedicure for bronies.
Actually, was it Nate or was it the Hoof GP that said that he now has some of his fans buy some starter pack products from them, and they do their own like jobs of it. He said that he had a farmer buy the starter pack product from him, and he tried his own hand at doing it, and he said that he did a relatively good job. Just
Hoof GP I know sells their own new block glue. I know that.
Yeah.
But I don't know about Nate at all. I've only really followed Hoof GP. I couldn't. I think I tried to watch Nate, and I just didn't like the quality of his video camera. I guess maybe he upgraded from now.
It works better on TikTok, I feel like.
All right, well.
So yeah, we got a bit away from Ironwood at the end there.
yeah, just a bit. Does anyone have anything they want to mention, bring up?
Well, I guess mentioning for next week. I mean, next week's stream is gonna be on my birthday, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, Kaiser will get to choose our topic.
Yeah.
Again. Because I chose this one.
Well, you threw this one out there and we debated. a little bit. I say debated,
Yeah.
and said I rushed in. I'm like, okay, we gotta choose between them. And then I was so tired yesterday that I didn't choose. And then I woke up this morning, and I'm like, God damn it, I gotta choose now, and I gotta make a thumbnail, and I gotta do all these things.
Kaiser, the time you asked, Kaiser and Critter were probably already asleep, so I was the only one awake.
Yeah. I was donezo.
Definitely. But like I can pick something out. Honestly, I would love for us to just like group watch like maybe episode or two of a show, but I would have to pick one that wouldn't be,
Copyright risk.
getting us in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So any announcements?
So if y'all have any suggestions, put them down in the comments below.
I do streaming on my channel now. I have been playing the Digimon games. The week before last week, I tried Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory because I couldn't find my PS4 copy of the first game. And then next week, I remembered I have the games on the Switch, so we switched over to Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kaiser, Critter, either of you have anything coming out? Anything fun?
On Friday, I'm going back to my Nuzlocke. It was only a slight catastrophe last time. Surely it'll be better this time, right?
Sure.
Also, this Friday, episode 6 of RWBY Reverse Fates comes out. This one is an important one. I'm excited for you all to see it.
Ooh.
Okay, and on my end, I released my very first YouTube short. Thank God this worked this time. It is based on the best segment of the video I made about World Trigger relatively recently. It's doing all right, but if y'all haven't seen it, make sure to check out my channel. I'm gonna have another stream this month. Probably going to be live streaming this new game that came out. I think it's called Gestalt. It's a game that's on Steam, and I've been following it for a while, and it seems really, really cool. Has a really good like steampunk western action adventure aesthetic, and the main protagonist looks awesome and badass. So I'm gonna check that out. All that aside, my progress on the new video I'm working on is a little bit slow. Mostly because the footage that I gotten just does not work in Sony Vegas, so Twilight's gonna help me out with that.
Yeah.
But it should be out pretty soon. Ideally, I want it to be out before my birthday. So here's hoping.
Okay, I guess last announcements on my end. It's officially announced that Fixing RWBY Volume 7 is now in production. It's going to be, or in development more so. It's going to be a little while still before we get anything major, especially things like auditions and the like. We will have the announcement trailer up on the channel hopefully by Saturday. We'll be looking at I'm trying to like clean up a little bit of it. But we announced that over on the Summer of RWBY stream. That was the last stream for Summer of RWBY. So if you guys want to, that's an entire fun thing talking about the development of the series. Also, hopefully with the release of that, we're going to open up the merch store. Which totally has no RWBY-based paraphernalia whatsoever. Yeah, no, absolutely nothing.
Electric Angel, Electric Angel, I stream on my channel.
It's linked down below, I'm pretty sure. Right?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I almost forgot the stream that me and Twilight did. If y'all haven't seen it, of us just reading off some RWBY fan fiction and having an exhausting but really good time with that. That's also on the channel if y'all want to check it out. I'm planning on making some highlights of the streams I've made so far. It's just going to take a little bit because I want to focus on this next video.
Before we get
Sorry for cutting you off, Raymond.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
Sorry.
Because Critter, you've handled the frickin' shop before. What's it called?
Teespring.
Teespring. Do you mind if I pass over? Like, you can unlist them, right? The things. I have them unlisted currently. Do you mind if I send you like the products that I've made and you can just tell me if they look properly aligned and stuff?
Yes. I'll also warn you. The way Teespring works, sometimes it takes like up to 24 hours for it to look like it's actually been unlisted or listed. Sometimes it's just slow. So if you're
Yeah.
wanting it to drop on a specific day, I suggest actually dropping it the
A
day
day before. That's what I was
and then
planning,
announcing it. Yeah.
All right. Well, just double checking on that, and I'll send those your way as soon as I can. I'm gonna get you a note of it. I think that, and there's one more major announcement happening. I believe next week is. I'm gonna probably try and make a firm goal to get that out. It's gonna be fun. It's going to be auditions for something that I haven't announced publicly yet. So everyone, start the rumor mills. It's gonna be fun.
Should I remind James?
You should remind James. It's gonna be coming up soon.
Okay, I'll remind James.
Alrighty, I think that's it. Thank you all so much for coming. Hope to see you in the next one, and we'll catch you. Oh wait. Bad Fan Fiction Night. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. Bad Fan Fiction Night. We are now hosting it live. We did the first one last week. We are reading Ratfic 2, Electric Boogaloo. It's a lot of fun. Mupa really did a great job of capturing the spirit of the original. Oh, trust me, it's a blast. That's all. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll catch you on the next one, and we'll catch you all